and gentlemen, welcome to episode 49 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. My name is Dave McRae. I'm in Toronto, Canada. This guy next to me in the other window wearing a Top Gun hoodie from H&M, I think you said it was from.
Yes, sir.
Tony Michael, Atlanta, Georgia. Tony, how the hell are you? 2 days before Christmas, my man.
I'm feeling the need for some Christmas food. That's what I'm feeling right now.
I hear you, man. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of yeah. I'm excited. Christmas, couple of days away. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everybody in the chat room. Whatever you're celebrating this time of year, whether it's Hanukkah, whether it's Festivus, whether it's Christmas, whether it's absolutely unequivocally nothing. Whatever you do, enjoy this time of year because it's great. And although I am in Canada and in Toronto, it's winter, but there's no snow out there. So we're going to have a green Christmas.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
No. I don't mind the cold weather, but the snow, you see, when I was a kid, I used to like the snow a lot. But now, when you start to learn how to drive, the winter gets a pain in the ass.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've been able to drive for years, but I just mean, once you become a driver and you become an adult and it's just like, fuck the winter.
True.
So today, Tony Michael and I are going to be watching Black Christmas, the 1974 classic
man.
Black Christmas. Oh, geez, I forgot my hat. Oh,
I'll get into the spirit of things and throw the Christmas hat on. I told them about this last week, and I'm sitting there, and I caught it off my camera reflection. I'm like, oh, my freaking hat.
Yeah, the camera reflection. Got to get that in there. All right, so yeah, we are going to be watching Black Christmas night. We encourage you guys to watch along. You know what? If you don't have it, that's okay. Just YouTube Black Christmas 1974.
That's right. It's on for free.
Full movie, and It's on there. So just do that. Just do that. Actually, you know what? What I'll do for you guys is, hang on, let me see if I can, why is this so, okay, there we go, that's better. Ba-da-da-da. I'm going to take the link, and I'm just going to put it right in the chat. So there you guys go. So I just put the link in the chat room for you guys. Just click on that if you don't have Black Christmas readily available for you, and that will take you to the full movie on YouTube. Get it while it's hot, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Get it while it's hot. And also, too, I want to say off the top, I'll say this throughout the show as well. Number one is no Rise of Skywalker spoilers in the chat room. There are still lots of people that have yet to see it. So don't do that. If I see you doing that, Frank, our moderator, might be in the chat room soon. If he's there, I've told him that if he sees it to get rid of it, just don't be a dick. Just don't be, because if I see you doing it, I'll just block you. I'll be that strict because I've specifically said don't do it. So,
although that moment when Jabba the Hutt was using Force Lightning was badass,
man, and it totally. And then when Tony Stark came in,
that's right, Tony Stark cameo. That was fucking great.
Yes, and he got naked.
RDJ got some nakedness going on.
Yes, and sat beside Jabba, and it was a whole thing. But anyway, other than that,
spoiler.
Yeah, because the movie's fresh and there's lots of people that haven't seen it yet. Just kind of be mindful of that. I don't care if you liked the movie or hated the movie or thought it was okay or loved wherever you fall in how you feel about the movie, just don't ruin it for other people. So let others decide on their own. Okay, and also number two is, what am I going to say? Yes, of course, I am in development on a Black Christmas fan film entitled It's Me, Billy, with my buddy Bruce. The screenplay is done. We are now moving into the next phase of development. The official Facebook page is in the description below. Facebook.com/.
You have an Insta or no?
We might have one. But as of right now, the official Facebook link is in the description below. We're excited about this because our fan film is going to be high production value, and we are bringing Billy back. So it is as it should have been. So
all
it is
along.
It's a short film. Yeah. Looking at you, buddy. It's a short film. It'll probably end up being anywhere between 25, 30 minutes long, perhaps. And it is a unofficial sort of sequel to the original Black
30
Christmas.
minutes?
Well,
you're borderlining full production there, buddy.
Well, full production would be over 60, but yeah, I mean, it's yeah. So, but we're excited because it's an indirect sequel to or an unofficial sequel, I should say, obviously, to the original film set about 45 years later in the future. And it does move what you know about Black Christmas, albeit, it can't move it that far because obviously it's a short, but it does take the mythology and the lore already and takes it to, it introduces some interesting angles or some interesting things. So it does push it forward, but we're not ready. We will have an Indiegogo campaign. We will have a teaser, all that kind of stuff. But that's not going to be till early next year, maybe the spring or something like that. But I just want to let you guys know that because this is a Black Christmas episode. So feel free to check that out in the Facebook description below. Okay. What else?
Hey, speaking of spring, or also actually would be more like borderline summer. Any chance of possibly doing a live watch of the original Top Gun before Top Gun Maverick comes out next year? I think, man, every time I see that trailer, I'm like, I'm getting jacked for that film. Like,
I wouldn't mind
loving it.
Totally, I wouldn't mind doing that. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I haven't seen Top Gun in years. So
many great lines in that movie that we could be calling out during the stream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. So, again, I put the link. I'll put that link again. I'll just do that. I'll put the link in the chat room. There's the link there to the original Black Christmas 1974 on YouTube. It's free. So feel free to watch along with us. And, ready to go. So,
do you want to tell them where we're at?
Yeah, so I'm actually watching it on YouTube because I thought that was the fastest way to do it. So that's where I am watching it. So I have it paused on the screen that says film funding in association with Vision 4. Vision 4 presents.
Cool.
So film funding in association with Vision 4 presents. That's where I have paused it, and that's where I am going to hit play. So I think and by the way, the chat room is open. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free, obviously, if you're asking questions throughout the commentary, super chats will always get our attention, obviously, first because they're highlighted, but we'll try to get to as many as we can, and then after the movie's done, we'll have about half an hour or so where we take questions. So
Q&A.
Yeah, all right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Black Christmas is now up on the screen with the house. And that house, by the way,
I love it.
It's
just
Toronto.
a very, very, very subtle intro. Nothing fancy. Just here we go.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this flick. You know what I mean? It's just boom, right there.
Yes.
Our girl, Olivia.
Yeah, Olivia Hussey. And Margot Kidder, good Canadian. She passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago. Yeah. So this movie, for those of you that don't know, is a Canadian movie shot right here in Toronto, and that house that you see there in the movie, it's a sorority. It's supposed to be a sorority house. It's not actually a sorority house. It never was. It's just a house. But it is. It's not too far away from me. It's still there to this day, and yeah, cool. It's on a private little road and not quite downtown Toronto, but just a bit north.
I have this version on vinyl down there in my Christmas albums. It was my grandmother's album, and it's this version of Silent Night. Silent Night.
Yeah. This.
I like this version. It's it adds to the mood of the intro 100%. Here.
Well,
it's not the traditional Christmassy Silent Night.
That's right. Yeah, and let's just say that It's Me, Billy will say there's going to be some Easter eggs like that in It's Me, Billy.
That'd be cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Got to get the rights to use it, but we're working on it.
I thought those were I thought Christmas carols like Silent Night and are public property.
They are if you like we could record our own version of Silent Night.
Gotcha. Okay. I gotcha. All right.
Right, but to use this specific recording because it was recorded by somebody else, somebody owns the rights to it, we'd have to pay for it. Yeah. So, of course, this is now we're at the shot where we're looking through. And what's really cool is Bruce, who you guys know, he has spoken a couple of times to one of the camera operators who worked on this movie. He's still alive today. I forget his name now. But
Was he the guy in this opening sequence walking up and
I believe so. Yeah.
cool.
So that's really cool. He's worked on
The Billy POV.
Yeah. I think he's in his 70s now or something like that.
And and I wonder if it was methodically done this way, but that POV there at the beginning where it was kind of a little shaky, kind of a little off-centered. I wonder if they did that on purpose to kind of give you the idea of who this character is, that he isn't all there. He's a little bit unbalanced.
That's a great question. And it could be. It could also, like, it's handheld.
You know what I mean? Like he's going like up slowly. Like, you know, like when someone just isn't quite there, but there, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that was a methodically done to kind of give you a feel for who this character is.
It's possible. Sorry, I got a chocolate in my mouth. Merry Christmas.
That's what she said.
That's funny.
There she is.
I love that POV. That was just, it's just eerie. Margot Kidder, she looks great in this movie.
She does. I mean, she is hot in this flick.
The Manhammer Era 15 says, Dave, are you
Margaret all over her kidder?
Are you going to play? Are you going to play Billy in It's Me, Billy? Physically, no, I can't. I'm not old enough.
Well, unless you get some makeup done.
Yeah. No, I'm not. We're gonna. Although you're not gonna. We're honoring the original by, like, you're never gonna see him full on and things like that. But in terms of to get the essence and the sense of the character, we'll hire somebody who's probably in their 60s.
So you're staying true and authentic to it.
Oh yeah,
because you could have gone the prosthetic and makeup route.
Oh yeah, no, we're not doing that. Now I will probably end up doing Billy on the phone because that's my wheelhouse of expertise. So I'll just do that. But in terms of the actor we hire, we'll hire somebody. Greatest Voices says, love this flick. Just watched it for the first time this year, and it's easily one of my favorite. Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And Jason Nike, absolutely. You can totally see why she got cast as Lois Lane. You can even see the Lois Lane essence here. And this is 3 years before Superman? 74, 77, right? So, yeah, you're right, 78. Or while they went into production is what I mean. So 3 years before they went into production on Superman. So, yeah, totally agree on that.
I love look. I mean, it's 1974. It's a dated film in terms of its,
dated, but it's better than a lot of the shit that comes out today.
I love the slow burn, the eeriness, the creepiness. Like, look at this. Look, panning around like this.
Yeah.
Looking around. It's very eerie, the lens the depth perception that they're using for this lens. It's just a creepy.
Has almost a borderline fisheye look to it because you can kind of see that border. It's not quite fisheye, but it's borderline. Right.
That's right.
Folks, fisheye, basically, it's literally what it means. It's like how a fish would look in it, and it distorts the corner edges of your frame.
Right, and there's nothing overtly, like, again, they're not telling you to be creeped out. There's no, creep. The only music is in the house here. You hear people laughing and talking. Margot Kidder's on the phone. It's just there is somebody in the house through the POV, and that in and of itself is unsettling. It's almost it's like that line, one of my favorite lines in Raiders of the Lost Ark, at the very beginning when they're walking into that temple, and that guy that Indy's with says something like, "We must hurry. There's nothing to fear here." And Harrison Ford grabs him, throws him up against the wall, and says, "That's what scares me." And so it's that same sense that it feels normal, but yet you're aware that there's something wrong, and that in and of itself is incredibly unsettling. And again, think of it for its time, 1974, low budget horror movie, and the telephone. I mean, so Jess is picking up the phone now.
Gosh, she's so beautiful. She really is.
She's still alive today. She lives in Los Angeles.
She looks great still.
She does.
Let's just say that woman has aged like a fine wine.
So obviously now we're getting our first introduction to Billy and the nonsensical, sexual weird things that he begins to say.
Yep.
Crazy.
Expanded.
Zach Axel says, Dave McRae, you should do a Halloween fan film using the story of your sequel concept, The Shape. Any chance of that ever happening? Yes. Give me $10 million and I'll do it.
Jordan Stevenson
it would take a lot of money to do that.
Jordan Stevenson says the POV shots remind him of Halloween. I mean, dude, Carpenter has openly said that many times, that Black Christmas was a huge inspiration to Halloween, and specifically the POV point of view perspective. So yeah, that's...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I love that they pan to each of the girls, getting their reactions sort of like, you know, because they're listening in on this. And again, remember, this is 1974. So, you know, today, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. Today, this, you know, if you're, you know, younger and you've grown up in the digital social media cell phone era, this might seem kind of, you know, but, you know, back in the 70s, there was no call waiting. There was no call display. If the phone rang, you didn't know who was there until you picked it up. And, you know, back then, if somebody was saying these, it was scary. It was really, really frightening. Today, if you see an unknown number on your cell phone, do you pick it up? No, you just let it go to voicemail. You don't even care. But back then, it was really, really frightening, really disturbing. So when you think of it in that context and imagine being back at that, I mean, of course, I wasn't around in 1974, but I was born 5 years later. And I remember, as you know, Tony does, you know, having phones that there were no cell phones. There was no internet. You know, if you received a call like that, it was fucking scary. It would have been. Yeah,
it's going to be, you know, I was talking with my buddy about that. After we saw Rise the other night, and I was telling him, like, you know, remember when we were in high school, what technology was like then and where technology is now? I can't even begin to process kids who are in high school today, when they get to our age, what technology is going to be like, you know, when they hit their 40s. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about that, because like we didn't have any of this shit around back in, you know, mid 90s. I mean, we had cell phones, but you know what I'm saying? They weren't smartphones. Computers. They're not everybody had a computer in their house.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. So,
although I do like the generation that we grew up in, because we grew up with the advancement of this technology. 100%. We watched it all grow, which is pretty cool.
That's right. That's right. We are at the, where are we here? We're about 10 minutes into the movie now, where the house
someone's
mother
opening
has
up
just,
the door.
Yes, the alcoholic house mom has just showed up. All these women, they're all very attractive, most of them.
As it should be in a sorority house.
Well, it's cool because a few of them are Canadian. The one with the big curly hair is an SCT. I forget her name now. She's an SCTV alum, which is really cool. Anyway, so here now, this girl here, Claire, I think her name is.
Bagface?
Bagface. She's the one that winds up.
That's what I call her, Bagface.
Yeah. But this is such a
Or the face on the hand of Michael's hand in the Halloween poster.
I was the one that pointed that out to everybody. And then people were like, look at that. Like, this is such a great scene because the camera is focused on the bag in the closet, and yet you don't see anything. And I love when she starts to feel something. She walks over to it, and all she says is, "Hello? Is somebody there? Hello?" And there's no music. It's just genuinely creepy and eerie. Like right now, there's a subtle groan.
It's atmosphere music.
Right. And you hear the cat meowing.
And that's it.
But she's saying, "Who is that?" Look at that shot through the bag as she's approaching. It's just genuinely unsettling. And there's no... And then she says, "Who is that?" Just that line, "Who is that? Who is it?" We don't see that there's even anybody there. That's what's so
Today weird. You would.
Yeah. Boom. And then he comes out like that and grabs her. Genuinely frightening. Again, is it dated? Sure, it's 1974, but that is, I mean, just that line, which is like, to me, it's the old school version of in The Conjuring when the girl is in bed and she's looking at the dark corner, afraid. She thinks she sees something, but the audience doesn't see anything, and her sister doesn't see anything. It's just a dark corner. She's like, "There's something there," right? Do you remember that? The Conjuring? Yep. That is like like it's that kind of thing, but 1975, I loved it. I thought it was still eerie to this day. And I love how you see his feet there. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really
and
cool.
that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's carrying her. You can tell he's carrying her. Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. And, of course, she winds up in the attic, and she's never, ever found. Even at the end of the movie, she's never
found, which is crazy.
Which is awesome. Let's see here. Jack McEwen's here.
To quote
Vegas
Alice
Courier.
from Friday, he's still there.
He's still there. Yeah, exactly. Sarah Carter says, I got crazy phone calls when I was little. Ugh, yeah, I hear you, Sarah.
I was the guy making those crazy phone calls to random people in the phone book and just picking up me and my boys on Friday night when we were like 12 years old. Okay, who are we cranking tonight?
I have to admit, I used to do that too. Deadshot Ninja says, hey, Dave, can you do one on Cat People 1982, please? Cat People, I've never heard of it. I'll have to check that out.
Neither have I.
Yeah. Let's see. James Carr says, you had to have grown up in these times to truly understand what it was like. I was born in 76, so I remember well. Yeah, I hear you. Like, I'm only, 3 years later. It's true. Like, you have to, it's hard to understand. It's not that I'm old, but I'm old enough to remember when there was no internet and no cell phones and social media and used to pick. I remember when we got call waiting, it was a huge thing. Oh my God, we have call waiting.
Right. Someone else can call while I'm on the phone.
Holy shit.
Yep.
It's amazing. And
the first 30 years of my life, I had no social media. You know what I mean? I didn't get social media until I was about 30.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. About the same. That's true.
So, I mean, more than half my life was spent without social media and all that stuff. So
I didn't have my first email address until my last year of high school.
Wow.
So, I mean...
Oh, I've got email accounts that are out there right now that I haven't logged into in like a decade. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Now, what's cool is a little bit of a tribute we did for It's Me, Billy. The color of the telephone that you see that is in
Olivia's
Jess's hand here. Yeah. We sort of, it looks actually a bit darker. We sort of paid homage to that on the poster of It's Me, Billy. That's why the phone on the poster is sort of a greenish color. So it kind of, actually, I don't think this is, I think there's another phone, because I think later in the movie she picks up another phone that is more of a pale green, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, but the phone we're going to be using in It's Me, Billy, for everybody watching, it is going to be this phone right here. There it is, folks.
There you go.
There it is. This is the phone that
it's like the same one that I have, but mine's the beige one that was used in Halloween. Similar beige. It's literally the same exact thing over there.
That's right. So now what's cool is that I'm also going to be getting about maybe 4 or 5 more. And once we launch our Indiegogo campaign, one of the perks will be, there won't be a lot available because obviously you can only imagine how much it is to get all these phones. But we will, there'll be about 4 or 5 phones available that will be signed by the cast and crew as part of the perks. So You'll be able to own your own, not the phone that was in the movie per se, but the exact same phone signed by the cast and crew for It's Me, Billy. So that's going to be something that we're really looking forward to doing. But that's it. Yeah. And we decided to have a black phone for It's Me, Billy, because obviously Black Christmas and really cool. And we have written a story that makes sense of why a rotary phone in 2019 would, would be something people would be using. So, and there's other things that we're working on trying to get as well. So,
Halloween Boy 69. You guys ever try something like booze because you saw it in a film? I tried bourbon because I saw Jack drinking it in The Shining, and sherry because this lady was drinking it in Black Christmas. Actually, it's funny you say that because when I think of sherry, I always associate that with Frasier and Niles on Frasier because they always had a glass of sherry in Frasier's apartment.
Yes.
But that's actually a good, yes, you're right. I forget that the lady does drink sherry in this. No, I haven't had, last time I had alcohol was like 5 years ago. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a big fan of drinking. I never liked the taste of alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, the green stuff, Mary Jane, that's entirely different. That's my life. But yeah, I don't know. Booze, I've never been. Are you? Yeah. Do you like booze?
Not really. I'm not a big drinker. I'll have a little bit maybe on a special occasion, but I don't, like, yeah, I'm not a big, I don't
Better
like
see a cameo of this church, buddy.
Well, this actually here is the University of Toronto. This is the University of Toronto campus, and this is where they shot that.
I better see it in the film. I'd be disappointed if I don't see it. Listen, man, you can just go there, pretend like you're photographing it, and just film it, okay?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just trying to think if we've written anything that would, I don't know if we have, but don't worry, there's something else we're working on trying to get. Let's just say that. Cool. So.
Olivia Hussey?
I can't say anything.
That would be great if you could, or if you did.
Yeah. So, yes, this is the University of Toronto. I've been there. I've walked around there. It looks relatively the same.
Is it far from you?
No. Well, I'm not right downtown, and it's right downtown, but it's not that far. No, I could get there in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, depending on traffic.
That's not bad.
Yeah. 30 minutes, maybe.
Is it like okay, so like in the States, we have, Ivy League colleges and then your basic college. Would you consider this more of an Ivy League, or is it just a general college? Yes,
I mean, it's certainly not considered an Ivy League, but in terms of the Canadian universities, the big ones in Canada would be like the University of Toronto is a very prestigious university. Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario would be up there. McGill University in Montreal as well. So yes, the University of Toronto, shortened to U of T, is a very, very good university.
Cool.
Yeah, people come from all over the world to go there. So
nice. What are some of the big majors that people go there for?
Oh, geez.
Because usually a lot of schools have specialties, and there's specific reasons.
Science,
like NYU filmmakers and artists go there. I mean, other people do, but NYU is definitely for the artsy people.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I have to check. I know that they have everything.
I love that photograph of that old woman at the
Yeah, I know the way she's giving the middle finger.
I want that picture so bad. I have not been able to find it, but I want that photo so bad because that would be hung up right behind me.
It'd be awesome. So now this older man here is Claire's father, who's come to look for her because she hasn't checked in. He doesn't know where she is. And the house mother obviously is trying to, keep the impression that it's a wholesome type of.
It's just a
wholesome
art picture.
Exactly. Let's see here. Caleb Ellis says, Dave, are we going to see the original house in your film? I know you probably can't spoil it, but it'd be cool. I can't say anything. Castle Rock, I have never seen Black Christmas. When it comes to Christmas horror, I always watch Gremlins and Krampus. Well, you should check it out. It's a very slow burn, but it's very creepy. It's very eerie, and it's probably my second favorite horror. It's horror, I guess. Yeah, my second favorite horror movie is probably this movie.
Next to Halloween.
Yeah.
It's in my top 10. It's not in my top 5, but it is definitely in my top 10.
Yeah. It was made for about $600,000. I believe they shot it in the winter of late 73, early 74, I think.
And it's shot at the same time as Chainsaw Massacre, because Chainsaw Massacre came out 2 months before this. I mean, can you imagine that in 74, 2 months ago, you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 months later, Black Christmas?
That's right.
So envious for you guys who got to experience this.
At its time of its release, it was released in the U.S. under the name Silent Night, Evil Night.
Or Evil Night, yep.
Yeah.
I always say Deadly Night. I know that's not what I mean. I always get it screwed up.
Now, of course, you can purchase the film in the States under the
Black
title,
Christmas.
Yeah, as its official title, but.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Justin Valdera says, if you made a direct sequel to the original Black Christmas, how would you approach it? Well,
you're going to find out.
You're going to find out because It's Me, Billy is my fan film that we are in development on. And that's going to be a direct sequel. It's a short film, but it will honor the original. So all of you that have a bad taste in your mouth because of the Black Christmas 2019 film, don't worry. Bruce and I are aware of it, and we're working hard. I saw my buddy Bruce last night, and we were talking about it. We have a production meeting coming up soon as well, so we're working on it.
Oh, Michael Myers, favorite scene from The Joker. Well, I can tell you a favorite moment where it was a cool moment in the theater was when Gary Glitters Rock and Roll Part 2 kicks in and he turns around in the elevator as a Joker first time, our theater erupted. I mean, like you thought we were at a sport game. Like people literally got out of their chairs. I had never seen that before. Because I think everybody was just so like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, this is what we've been wanting from a DC film. Like, and then when you have that moment, it was just like, it was so cool. And it was cool to see people react that way. Wasn't my favorite scene, I don't know, but it was definitely a favorite moment that I will certainly remember from a movie going experience.
Very cool. I love the shot here that just passed about how it was through the attic.
Yeah.
Watching them leave, and then it rack focuses back into the attic, and you just see, Claire kind of there in the chair. Like, this was really cool.
Yep.
Now, I do want to say this. I am still planning on doing a video on my thoughts on Black Christmas 2019. Now, I have not seen the movie, so that's not going to be the crux and focus of the movie. It's not a movie review. It's going to be a general consensus of what everybody is saying and the issues that I think of why that movie failed. And I know that there have been people that have been pointing to this movie as being very progressive because the character of Jess is pregnant. But that's not I fundamentally disagree with any sort of message in this movie. This is it's a subtext. It's not irrelevant, but it's not the overall arcing theme of the film. She's pregnant with his baby, Peter. She wants to have an abortion. Peter doesn't want her to. And that sort of shows you the kind of character she is and she's thinking about, and it just adds some layers and complexity to the character, but it doesn't drive the narrative forward per se. And so people who seem to want to draw parallels between that subtext of the original film and everything that was going on in the 2019 film, I just think are categorically mistaken on that. There isn't an abortion message in this movie.
I just personally like the story arc. I try not to, read too deep into movies. I understand there's certain movies that do have layers that do require that deep thought, but honestly, sometimes it just takes the joy out of enjoying a movie. It's entertainment. You know what I mean? It's not intended to be psychoanalyzed to death. Not every film has to just go and enjoy it and have fun with it.
Well, the best stuff is the best stuff, the best layers and symbolism seep into your subconscious without you even knowing it.
Exactly. So, like The Shining, The Clockwork Orange.
Right.
Not to go Kubrick, but that's what he did.
Yeah, you'll gain a feeling over something, and you'll be curious about something, but maybe you're not sure why. But her being pregnant, wanting an abortion, it's part of her character, it's part of the story, but it's not. It's not the story.
Well, like my point to it is like, when we were growing up, we never talked about deeper meanings to these movies. We just, hey man, what'd you think of Black Christmas? I love it with this scene. I love that scene and this scene. And like, that was it. That was the basis of our conversation. Now in 2019, it's like, well, let me break this apart and analyze every little detail while you bore the shit out of me with your analyzation at the same time.
Well, to be fair, I think there are things to analyze, but I think I get what you're saying, and you're
what I mean.
Like,
it just takes the fun out of it.
Sure, it absolutely can. But the whole idea that the subtext of her being pregnant is somehow the same as everything that was going on in the 2019 film is absolutely not true. 100% not true. I'm very disappointed with the 2019 film and what they decided to do. They used the Black Christmas name to exploit a message. And I'm not here. I mean, fine, but then just call it a different film. Call it something else. Don't use the title to get people in the seats. I'm glad it failed. It's the principle. It's the principle of it. Anyway, so where are we here? We are 26 minutes into the movie, almost 27 at the police station. And obviously Claire's father is making a formal missing persons kind of thing. Like, I don't know where my daughter is. And everybody's like, where's Claire? Nobody knows. The drunk house mama's still drunk. What are we going on here? Let's see. I want to make sure. Let's see.
And you know what, too? We'll never see this again, too. Like I was thinking about that in the conversation with my buddy when we were talking about like what we grew up with technology, but also the aesthetic look of the 70s and 80s, and prior to the advancement of technology. When when I look at certain scenes, the way cars were designed back in the day, cars were built with this just really strong build, big frame, just real tough. You don't even see that anymore. And just not even that, but just like the interior scenes of the police station, the interior scenes of the house, just how it's just night and day different now. To me, I'm still very much attracted to this aesthetic look. These are the types of places that I look for to try to photograph and capture, because I am not a fan of modern architect. I am not a fan of modern designs on vehicles. I just think everything today just looks fake and plasticky is the best way I can describe it. Whereas back then, things just had like a personality to themselves. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
Your home did. I don't know how to describe it if what I'm saying makes sense, but there's just a certain look that we'll never see again. We'll never see that again.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I love how
she just looks so beautiful here. Yeah.
It's so silly. Let's see here. E_S18 says, I know I like how the girls are college students, not high school students, which makes them more mature and adult-like. Here's the thing. I believe Bob Clark, the director of the movie, he sadly passed away in a car accident in 2007 with his son.
Right.
Right. But I remember him saying that one thing that he wanted this movie to have was a sense of maturity to it. He wanted the college girls they're not dumb bimbos running, up the stairs when they should be running out of the house. There's a sense of maturity about them, and he wanted them because not everybody is, dumb and naive, and he wanted to bring that to the table, and I think he did. You do get a sense that although they're college age, they you're not watching a teen college horror movie. Do you know what I mean? Right. You're watching it. It seems very sort of real.
Yep. Every time I see a goalie with a hockey mask like that, I always think of this poster of a Canadian boy my uncle had hanging up in his apartment of Ken Dryden, who was a Montreal Canadian goalie back in one of the best goalies in the NHL.
One of the best.
And he used to have a mask like that. And I always think of that picture of Ken Dryden in my uncle's home.
Yeah, it's cool. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's an iconic Ken Dryden shot.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
My uncle's a huge Habs fan. For those who don't know, that's Habs is what they call the Montreal Canadiens.
Yep. I believe it's French habitant, something like that. Yeah. That's why there's an H in the middle of the C.
I stopped watching hockey after the Whalers left Hartford. I was a big Whalers fan. I was a huge Whalers fan.
I bet.
And then when they left, I just lost interest.
I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan. So we're at the scene now, obviously, where Peter is playing he's playing the piano in front of these people, and obviously he's sweating profusely and probably not happy with his performance. Let me see here. Jason Knight says, Dave, how about the Leaf game this afternoon? No defense. I didn't see it. I was too busy working on a video that I uploaded just prior to this show. Robert Kitzmiller says the zoom rack focus technique when the house mom finds girl in the attic and in the hallway scene and the poltergeist is awesome effect. Yes, I absolutely agree. 100% agree. Yeah, you need to know when, and if you don't, I agree 100%. Hey, there's a black phone. That's cool.
Yeah. Crystal Lake Counselor 1977. Tony, any updates on Cobra Kai season 3? Other than they wrapped production, I know that, and I'm guessing we're probably going to get something here in January of a teaser trailer of sorts. I do know, and that's not a spoiler, Ralph Macchio said something about it, that part of this season is going to go back to Okinawa, which I'm excited for because I'm hoping maybe we might get Chosen from Karate Kid Part 2 back, and Kamiko, who was Daniel's love interest. I still feel that should have been Daniel's wife later on in life. I always liked his chemistry with her for as far as love interest goes.
I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see season 3. And of course, John Saxon.
John Saxon!
And he wasn't the original first choice. Apparently, if memory serves correctly, I forget the actor's name, but they were bringing in somebody else. I think he might have been a bit of a name. He showed up, but I think he was drunk or something, or no, maybe it's because he was too old and I forget now. There was something that they just didn't realize, and they actually had to fire him and let him go. And John Saxon was brought in sort of last minute, to replace this character. So, John Saxon has played, a
Cop in almost everything.
Yes, a cop in two iconic movies. That's right. And in some weird world, what if that is the same cop from A Nightmare on Elm Street? He just suddenly changed his name and moved to Springfield or whatever. Wood, yeah. So again, you'll notice that this movie does a really good job at getting us attached to the characters, getting us to know the characters. It's a slow burn, right? It's not all about Billy in the attic and all that kind of stuff. And now, to be fair, they have time to do this because it's a feature-length film, so there's more room to breathe and flesh those things out. In my short film, it'll be a little more concise, but I really like this. I like movies that allow us to get to know the characters a bit, and so that when they do sort of kick the bucket or things happen to them, they face some sort of resistance, we can root for them and we can cheer for them. And it really sets up, again, the slow burn allows us to feel the environment, to feel the home, to feel, the cinematography, and really play with the atmosphere and the mood, obviously, which I really love.
Margaret's a little drunk.
She's a little drunk. Margot Kidder, folks. Castle Rock says, I like the front of modern cars and some of the interior. Some of them look better than the old cars. When it comes to horror, the only modern horror show that I love is Haunting of Hill House. Cool. All right. E_S18 says, what if John Saxon was one of the cops in Halloween 5? Maybe he was. Entertainment Wizard says the director wanted Saxon, but they cast someone else first, and the other guy had Alzheimer's. That's what it was. Thank you very much, Entertainment Wizard, coming to the rescue. I knew it. See, at first I thought it might have been because he was a little bit, but then I was like, no, I think it was something else. You're right, because he was a bit older. That's right. So they had to bring John back in last minute, and luckily he was able to do it. And as far as I know, he landed in Toronto and just essentially went right onto the set practically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this lady right here. God damn it, I forget her name now. The big curly hair. Why is her name escaping me? Anyway, she's an SCTV alum. She's great. She's actually a really funny comedian. So it's kind of funny to see her in this serious horror movie. Sarah Carter says, love Arachnophobia. Oh, I love Arachnophobia too.
Good old John Candy.
Yeah, no, John Goodman.
Yeah, Goodman. There you go. Yeah. One of the Johns.
And I love how they set it up in the sense that, you're led to believe, not necessarily, not necessarily the audience per se, but the characters in the movie and the cops are starting to think that maybe it's Peter, Deadshot.
Peter, man, you gotta take a better swing there, buddy.
Come on, take it.
My sister can swing better than that.
There we go. Look at that fur coat.
God, look at that wreath with the old school lights, man, that we had as kids growing up in the 80s.
I know.
Oh man, I miss those
it.
Lights. I do. Guys, you don't understand. If you grew up as a kid in that time frame, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's just some big old colored lights that you would hang on your tree, and you would douse your tree with tinsel and shit.
Yeah, because when we were little kids, I mean, this movie was only 10 years old.
That's it. That really it was only 10 years old. So not much would have changed between that time frame.
Yeah. Let me see here. Deadshot Ninja says, hey, Dave, can you and Tony do The Thing? We're definitely going to do The Thing eventually.
Oh, absolutely. Carpenter's The Thing, not the original, right? I'm assuming.
Right. Yeah. Halloween Boy 69 says, having the worried father there the entire time is really effective in making us unnerved as an audience. It's actually very sad. It is kind of sad because he seems kind of he's a little nerdy, but he seems kind of sweet, and he really cares about his daughter. And knowing the audience, as you said, knowing that she's up there the entire time is just even more heartbreaking. And the audience knows that.
Yep.
And obviously they find a yeah. I think this might have been, I stand to be corrected, but I think this might have been the first scene Saxon shot.
Shot. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was. But I stand to be corrected.
And you can definitely tell it was a very cold night in Canada that night.
Yep.
I don't think that's acting, folks. I think it was a very cold night.
I don't know. It might have been.
When was it filmed?
It would have been filmed in the winter. Yeah. Brandon Berry, super chat. Thanks, Brandon. Much appreciated. Favorite horror movie dad. Ooh. Favorite horror movie dad.
I mean, it's easy to go to Saxon right now because, you know, he plays great opposite to Heather in Nightmare.
Yeah, he is pretty awesome.
I'm just trying to run
I love how they have Peter sort of lurking around, you know, the premises, you know, again, making you think that there's, because you'll notice after the kill of Claire, they haven't really gone back to Billy. Right. Like there's been a phone call, I think, but they haven't shown him. But they've been showing Peter. So they really want to draw your attention to thinking that maybe Peter is this weird guy. Mm-hmm. This is so sad too. You know, her in the chair with the cat and shit.
Yeah, I'd have to say Saxton because, I mean, look, Laurie, we don't really see much of her dad in Halloween. You don't see much of any of the Friday girls' dads. No. Chainsaw Massacre, same thing. I mean, you don't really see many parents in these films. And other than Nightmare on Elm Street, you see Nancy's father. He plays a big part in the film. It's not like just a little side character.
That's right. I can tell you a dad that needs a punch in the head is Jesse's dad from A Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Yeah.
That dad needs a swift punch in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see here. Jacqueline McEwen says, my dog just perked up his ears hearing the dogs bark in the movie. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. What kind of dog do you have, Jacqueline? Greatest Voices says, love watching this movie with the Christmas tree and lights up in the house. I could not agree more.
Oh, I mean, Brandon, yeah, that's true. I mean, you can go with Chief Brody and Jaws. I don't really put Jaws in the horror category. I put it more in the drama category. But yeah, I mean, I could see that too. I mean, it kind of...
I could see that.
You know, Jaws, you know, if some people identify it as a horror film, you know, I've never had an issue with that. I mean, I look at it more as dramatic because, you know, it's definitely a summer blockbuster. Well, it started the summer blockbuster.
Right. Jason Nike, it's Andrea Martin. Andrea Martin, right. Thank you. The woman with the curly hair in the movie. Andrea Martin. How could I forget? Andrea Martin. Right. That's right. For some reason, her name is... Now, where you saw the house mom here going up to the attic and climbing those stairs, I believe in the real house, those stairs, access to the attic that way, I don't believe is available anymore. Look how creepy that is. That shot, they just zoom up and you just see hands on the thing. Oh, I love how the lighting falls on just his hands. You don't see anything else. You don't see movies like this anymore. It's just creepy. That's just he's setting on, like he's waiting. He's just waiting. Patiently waiting.
Like a silent alarm.
And then that's when she notices Claire, and just that zoom. Oh, and how she's silhouetted against the frosty, snowy window. I love that. Love that. Look at him just waiting. Oh. And the music it's not overbearing. It's just very...
No, it's atmosphere
music. It's that piano. Boom, boom. It's just... Oh, I love it. Now, this guy here, the taxi driver, I believe he's one of the producers of the movie, if I'm not mistaken, or co-writer or something to that effect. It's his one and only role. Low budget, you're like, hey, Bob, can you go do this?
Why
not?
Oh, the Boogeyman is coming. Super chat. Thanks, buddy. If you had to choose between Halloween 78 or Black Christmas 74 to ever, I think that means never watch again.
Never watch again?
What would it be? Probably Black Christmas. I'll always watch Halloween. I'll never stop watching that flick.
Ooh.
I can never
I
stop
only
watching.
Oh, this is great. Hang on. Before I answer that, I love this. Billy's going ape shit. He's and you can
Fucking
tell,
up the house.
obviously he's really psychologically disturbed. We don't know anything about this character. Why is he in the house? Why, what sort of background does he have? Was he abused?
It's just
Was
such a
he sexually
disturbing
abused?
scene.
It is. I mean, who's, and Agnes, of course, because he mentions Agnes's name on the phone, which I don't think it's outright said who Agnes is. I know in the 2006 film they explain all that remake, but in this movie, I don't believe it's outright said from what I can remember, but I know Bob Clark, the director, in his mind, Agnes was Billy's sister. And he believed that maybe his younger sister, maybe she was abused by him, or who knows? I mean, it's just a real fucked up family.
Yep.
Now there's another rack focus from Claire to the house mom. Great stuff. And then, of course, they find a girl in the park, which obviously is Billy's trail. He was...
Breadcrumbs.
Yes.
Little breadcrumbs.
That's right. Now, although this was shot in Toronto, obviously it's supposed to take place in the States. As many movies do in terms of shooting here. I was going to answer that question. Yeah, you know what? I only hesitated on the question, the boogeyman is coming, because I know you're like, oh, come on, Dave, Halloween's your favorite. It is, but I'm just kind of like, I've seen it so many times that it's kind of like if I don't watch it for, I don't know, I already know it. But it's tough. It's tough. I think maybe, yeah, it'd be hard to never watch Halloween again. That's for sure. I love this. What I love about this is that the variation.
Is he saying, help me, please stop?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's incoherent. He's not there. It's as if he's not even talking to Jess on the phone. He's just reciting. Imagine experiencing this at that time. Her performance is great.
He's saying, I know what you did, Billy, stupid Billy.
Yeah.
So definitely multiple personalities.
Multiple personalities, as if he's almost taking on the form of his father or his mother, or it's his conscience, his guilt, his just all coming out, and he's playing all these people. That's right. And sometimes there's weird things that he says. You're like, how can this even be the same person? It's just genuinely frightening. Look at the shot of the upstairs and how you begin to see his shadow, and then that's it.
That's it.
And then that phone there.
Again, just shows you just how much inspired Carpenter was by this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's basically Michael. I mean, what we're seeing is what the formula we got with the original Halloween with Michael. And
of course, we see, as we pan over, we see these feet come down the stairs. You're supposed to think, obviously, it's Billy, but I believe it ends up being Peter. Let me see here. Yeah. Robert Kitzmiller. That's what was real creep sounds like. 100%.
Yep.
100%. It's genuinely frightening and creepy.
Sarah Carter, I miss rotary phones. Yes, I agree with that. I miss phones in general simply for the fact that I can't remember the last time, honest to God, I really cannot remember the last time I actually had a good telephone conversation with someone. I'm talking because back in the day, dude, I could have conversations with my girlfriend till 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Now I honestly, I really cannot tell you the last time I had a long, good phone conversation.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you because nobody talks on the phone anymore. I've said this before. I'll say it again.
As connected as we are so disconnected.
100%. And our cell phones, our smartphones, they're called smartphones, but really they're not phones. They're smart computers that just so happen to make phone calls.
Yeah,
because
that
really
we never use for phones.
Exactly. You never use it to call anybody. Really, at the end of the day, they're pocket computers. That's what they are. They're pocket computers that just so happen to make phone calls.
Very true. Popeye, Tony, did you like Rise of Skywalker? No, I didn't. But if you did, 2 thumbs up.
There you go. There you go.
Let's just say this. Let me rephrase that. I didn't agree with a lot of the creative choices they made.
There you go. That's
Rather
fair.
than saying I don't like it, I just didn't like some of the creative decisions that were
go.
made. Because there were some aesthetic looks that I liked. There was a great callback that I loved because it's definitely our novel old EU reference that Dave knows. I've mentioned that in a text to him. Actors were fine. There's just again creative decisions that I didn't necessarily agree with JJ on.
And that's fair. Keep in mind, folks, I will say again, as I said at the beginning of the stream, if you have seen The Rise of Skywalker, do not post any spoilers whatsoever. If you do, if you're going to be a dink and do, unfortunately, I'll block you.
And Frank's here too, so Frank will knock him out.
Frank, our moderator's here. I'm not gonna I don't want to do that to be a dick, but I want I'm gonna be that strict because I want people to experience things for themselves. I would do it over any movie that was like a Halloween or whatever. I just, if you've seen it, you can certainly talk about it in the chat room if you want, but don't drop any of those major spoilers. You know what I mean? Just be mindful of everybody.
This isn't a spoiler to the movie, but the trailer Tenet. I want to see that. That looks really cool. Good.
Really cool.
Did that play in front of Rise?
Yep.
Yeah.
That 5-minute prologue or whatever. Yeah. So, of course, now we're at the scene here. Where are we? We are 48 minutes and 40 seconds into the movie, and Peter is talking to Jess, of course, about, the baby and about how he wants it, but she doesn't sure she's wanting, I don't know if I want to be with you. Like, this is great. Like, it's not these people that say, well, the original Black Christmas was all, no, it wasn't. This is just subtext to help flesh out their characters, to make her a little more interesting, to show that she's a real person struggling with real life issues, but it's certainly not the driving narrative. She could not be pregnant and the movie would still end the same way and still be the same thing. So it just helps make the character more interesting in terms of making her more independent, and having to make a decision that certainly even at that time was extremely controversial. And it makes their relationship and dynamic that much more interesting. And also the dichotomy between the two, you have obviously Peter wanting her to keep the baby and her not wanting, and him sort of, it makes you think that maybe he's so jealous and so, that he could commit all these things, right? It kind of helps to kind of point the guilt to Peter, which obviously is a red herring. So, that's all that is. And it was effective.
Well, it's Blumhouse and the PR press. They're trying to spin it as, well, back in the 70s that, they had this, subtext plot line going on. I don't see why people don't like it. No, it's the narrative of what you're presenting in the now is why people don't freaking like it. It has nothing to do with the subtext in your 2019 version of Black Christmas. It's the way you're presenting it. To people who are fans of this movie, it's about Billy. It's about what we are watching here in this original film. When you stray away from that, when you go into something completely different, your audience is going to be like, what the fuck are you doing here? This ain't Black Christmas. If you called it something else, people might have enjoyed it. More people might have gone out to seen it.
Right. I just don't understand. Look, if the movie, and again, I haven't seen the 2019 film, but I've read a lot of reviews. I've listened to a lot of people. If the 2019 film at its core really is about, there's a strong sort of message there about women rising up against, the patriarch and men and it's about, women. If that's okay, fine, but then just call it Sleigh Girls, because then the sleigh has many different meanings. It's it's talking, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying then it's about the girls that are slaying the bad guys. They're slaying, the patriarch. They're or the patriarch, whatever. They're slaying it has so many meanings. Just call it that. They use the Black Christmas IP to basically sell tickets, and it didn't sell. That disappointed me. No, it didn't. Not as many as they'd hoped, and that disappoints me. It's okay. Look, if you want to make a movie about, wait, I've lost Tony. One sec. Let me see if I can get him back. One second. I'm gonna have to. Where is Tony here? Okay. 1 second. I've lost him. Where is he? Wait. Hopefully Tony will be coming back. I'm going to try and get him back. 1 second. Tony, I don't know where he went. But here we go. Okay, I've sent him the link. He should be coming back in a couple of seconds here. Sometimes that happens, folks. Sometimes that happens. He'll be back, folks. He will be back. But you see how Peter, how angry he is, and how, the catchlight on his on his face there, and how he's getting kind of angry, and he's like, listen, you're gonna have that. They really are selling that Jess making the decisions she's making could maybe drive him to commit murder or want to commit murder, There we go. Tony is back. And he's back, folks. He's back.
Blumhouse wasn't liking what I was saying there.
That's what it was. That's what it was. He wasn't. That's it. They didn't like you, Tony. They didn't like you. Can you imagine?
That'd be some funny shit.
That would be funny. Let's see here. J Beach 12078 says, Dave McRae, where in the film are you guys? We are essentially 53 seconds and 53 minutes. Huh? 53 minutes and 51 seconds. John Saxon's character is at the door talking to Jess, and they're kind of making a search of the house. Such a great looking house. Of course, it probably doesn't look that old anymore inside, but
no, it's probably been modernized, and
the phone operator is going to tap the phone so they can record the phone calls. It's just I love this movie. It's so great. That's what was so great too about old, even like Hitchcock films, or even not Hitchcock films, just old school horror movies or thrillers from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. They relied so much on story and narrative and creating that sense of atmosphere and mood that, when you got to the moments of da-na, it felt earned and it felt that much more creepier. There wasn't such a focus on them. I mean, I understand that we live in a world now where everything's got to be cut, bum, 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 bum. But it's just, I don't know. It's too bad because these kind of films are just genuinely creepy.
They are.
Super chat from Oliver Mercer. Thanks, buddy. Says, what if Billy was Michael Myers' brother? I feel he would fit the bill if he had one. Oh, maybe. You never know. Billy Myers?
Billy Myers? Didn't Frank send us in a super chat?
Did Frank send us a super chat?
I thought he did.
He did.
And then I got kicked out as I was about to say something.
I just want to say a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a festive Kwanzaa, and bah humbug to you all. Frank, same to you, buddy. Thank you so much. Frank's our moderator here on my live shows, and of course in Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. And thankfully, though, and I think Frank would agree, by and large, I think our viewers are great.
Yep.
And I think, every now and then you might get somebody that tries to spoil.
It's been a lot more then than
fun,
now, though. I can tell you that.
Sorry?
I said it's been a lot more then than now. I can tell you that. It's been good.
Yeah, 100%. It's been great. And so thank you, Frank, and thanks for everybody in the chat for just being cool and just being.
I do have a Star Wars question for you, though, not Rise of Skywalker question.
Okay. Well, let's save it for the Q&A.
Before I forget.
So yeah, and I'll just say this again as well. Myself and my buddy Bruce, who also works in the film industry here in Toronto, we are in development on a Black Christmas fan film called It's Me, Billy. The link to the official Facebook page is in the description below. If you have not liked it or followed it, we'd love if you would, because we are very excited about what we have in store for this fan film. It's a short film that'll end up probably being about 25, 30 minutes long, but it is a direct sequel set 45 years later to this movie. So if you are very upset about the 2019 film from Blumhouse, then come on out and support our film to bring
Don't say
Billy
that. They'll kick me out again.
back. Oh, you're right. You're right. I should keep it down. See, and look how they zoom up on Peter's face. He's hanging around. It's Peter.
It's a great misdirect.
Him.
It really is.
Great.
Bob Clark did an effective job with a really good misdirect on here, because I got to tell you, when I first saw this, I thought he was the killer. I mean,
yeah, a lot of people did.
Yeah. And that's really, like, that's hard to do. You know what I mean? Especially nowadays, because people would be like, oh, it's not him. Oh, it's not him. Oh, it's not him. You know?
Right,
but
right.
Back then, first time seeing this shit, you were really thinking, might be this dude.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Let me see here. But Robert Thidoff says, if you could pick 2 holidays to represent in one scary movie, what 2 holidays would you choose? I would probably just go Christmas, New Year's, because they fall right one after another. Maybe something like that. I don't know.
Good with that.
Or maybe something like that. Jacqueline McCune says, Dave, did the Blumhouse remake prompt you to create this fan film, or is the timing coincidental? The timing is actually coincidental. You
had been talking about doing this for a minute, and I think it is coincidental, because all of a sudden I remember going, wait a second, dude, they're doing a Black, remember? I think I even texted you on Instagram that, like, hey, dude.
You did. Dude, they're doing because I had announced a Black Christmas fan film with you. We were back in May or something like that. And then all of a sudden in July or June,
out of nowhere,
comes out and says they're doing this, and I was like, oh. But then I was kind of worried, because I was like, oh, are they going to do it are they going to like rain on my parade in terms of, because obviously they have the budget and they can just walk in and do it. Are they going to see that phone right there is sort of the color of the phone that's on the It's Me Billy poster? That was our sort of tip to that.
It's basically the same phone, just a different color.
Yeah. Very, very similar. Like it's a similar shade of green, but the phone that will appear in our movie, like I said, is this phone right here, a black rotary phone. And then thankfully, not thankfully. I mean, obviously, I would love to have seen a real, genuine, awesome remake of Black Christmas, but they didn't do that. They decided to put their political message before their narrative, which is something you should never do, nope. And or at least do a better job at making it seem a little more organic. But they didn't do that. So I was happy, because I'm like, great. So because our fan film was a sequel, or is a sequel to this movie, so it does have Billy in it.
I love this here.
Look at this shot.
It's just such a great shot, and then you just hear Billy just, subtly just kind of,
like rocking the chair back and forth.
Yeah.
She almost looks like a doll. Like she's just kind of, and he's playing with her. Like, I mean, you could almost get the sense that he would do things to her if he could. Like that's downright creepy and weird. There's no doubt that Billy was physically, sexually, emotionally there's something, whatever family he comes from, this is very, very serious.
Yep.
Yeah. Now this guy who's the POV of Billy walking down the, I believe that's, God, I forget his name now, but the camera operator that my buddy Bruce has met a couple times through his job. This is great. I love this. We're coming up now to the death of Margot Kidder's character, and this is so great. Oh wait, is this it, or are the carolers out there yet?
No.
I love that shot. Oh, right. Okay, no. So it's not yet. It's a false alarm. It's a misdirect. But he eventually does. We're almost there. Yeah, she's obviously she needs her inhaler and
asthma attack. Yeah.
That's so creepy, though. Just that shot of the door opening and you just see a silhouette. It's creepy as hell. Frank Riker says the swamp has been drained.
The swamp has been drained. Of course, I suck at doing that.
The swamp has been drained. Okay, it's been drained. 2020. Listen, they can vote to impeach me. I'm impeached,
but I'm not going anywhere.
I'm not impeached. They voted to impeach me, but the Senate is going to vindicate me. Okay.
Pretty much.
That's exactly what's going on.
And we just wasted our tax dollars for nothing. Literally for nothing.
Yeah, it's a symbolic thing, really, at the end of the day. So Right. That's where the carolers are now.
Mm.
And I love this creative choice because there's no doubt when they were writing the script, how do we kill this character with Jess in the house, but her not knowing or hearing what's going on? Okay, we'll bring a bunch of carolers to the door that are very, and she goes to the door and obviously that mutes the, what's going on upstairs. So I thought that was, it works. It works 100%. And of course,
this
Billy.
Is something you never see anymore of caroling. When was the last time you've seen carolers show up? It was definitely big in the 70s and 80s. I remember as a kid, seeing the carolers coming around, like when we'd be at my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve with the family. There was always this like group of carolers that would show up. I cannot remember the last time I've seen a group of carolers show up.
I can't remember either. I have no idea. But Billy obviously uses that phallic-looking unicorn statue that is on the bed board or the headboard or whatever it is to kill Margot Kidder's character. And this is such a great shot. Let's just say I can't give too much away.
Again,
I can't give too much away with what we're thinking about.
You look at this shot and immediately you think Judith Myers, Michael walking up the stairs in the Myers house. And again, another homage that Carpenter did to this from this movie.
That's right. And this here isn't he's not using I forget the guy's name. He's not using a Steadicam.
There was no Steadicam.
There was not.
Carpenter and Cundy pretty much invented the Steadicam.
Right. So, but what I love about this, as you mentioned, Tony, off the top, is the uneasiness of the walking.
The mentalness of who this guy is. Yeah.
Right. And this shot right here, the unicorn in the foreground, Billy approaching in the background, silhouetted, really, really nice. And I love how he's like, hey, it's me, Billy. There it is. The title of my film. Shh.
It's all right.
That's right.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's so awesome. Oh, look at that. Look at that eye.
But the
look at that shot
too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Of what's going on with the kids and everything.
That's right. That's
the
right.
Innocence versus the violence.
That's right. That's right. Tony's bang on with that. And it's classily done.
Yep. No blood. Or very little.
Yeah. On the hands, but very much like the Judith Myers thing.
Yep.
Where it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Now you do see the blood on the unicorn horn, which is fantastic. And you see the blood on her hand as it hits the thing and the swans go over and stuff, but it was really classily done. And then it just drops. I love that. But I love that shot from the bed looking up at Billy and just the light on that one eye. Of course, the big eye reveal is coming soon, but that's just, it really just, I love when things, and again, maybe it's our age, Tony, I don't know, but I just love when things are not gratuitous, but they're really scary. It's just, it really is like, whoa, like, can you imagine waking up and seeing that,
I get what you're saying. I literally have that conversation 5 times a day on my Instagram DMs. How come you don't do blood in your photos? How come you don't make it more violent? That's not scary, man. I always like to get the moment before the shit's about to happen to the person rather than showing the shit happening to the person because it leads your mind to think like, oh shit, what's about to happen? I think that's more effective and more scary. That's why I don't do blood in my photos.
That's right.
Yep. And that's why in great movies like Black Christmas and in Halloween, you don't need the blood.
You don't.
The movies, the way they build the suspense and how they film the scenes, they made it scary enough that you don't need it.
That's right. If you nurture the mood and the atmosphere, now again, it's a fine line because you certainly can nurture it too much and then your movie becomes boring and, not a lot happens. But if you nurture it, in the right way and you build that really nice, slow momentum, having things happen, but you're building, and each time something happens, it gets more and more and more and more, and it's like going up, right? And if you do that and you do it right, the payoff can be, and you don't need blood and guts and gore.
No.
And I'm not saying they don't have their place, but in a real sort of suspense thriller kind of movie, you don't need it.
Yeah.
You don't need it. Zach XO says, Dave McRae, thoughts on the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies directed by Peter Jackson? It's a loaded question.
Thoughts on what?
On the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies.
I've never seen them.
I haven't
I'm
seen
going to
any
be
of the Hobbit
honest. I've
movies.
never seen any of that. I've never been a Lord of the Rings guy or a Hobbit guy, you know?
I haven't seen any of the Hobbit films. I've seen the Lord of the Rings, but not in years. I liked them. Oh, they were fine, yeah. But that's all I can say on that. Justin Valdera says, the It's Me, Billy line was used in Shazam. It was, but I don't know if that was a tip to Black Christmas, because the character's name it's Billy, his Billy's like, God, it's me, Billy. Yeah. I don't necessarily think that was a nod to Black Christmas. But you're right, he did say that exactly that. Movie Chat and More says, have I missed Michael Myers' hand in the rocking chair? Yes.
Yes, you have.
Or maybe it should be Michael Myers as Billy. Let's not forget, Black Christmas came first. Vegas Courier says...
Michael would still have been in Smith Grove.
Oh, that's true. That's true. In 1974. Vegas Courier says, another annoying thing about the new movie is all the comments calling the title racist. Oh, of course. But see, that's par for the course when you get that kind of thing. I'm going to be doing a video on that very soon. I'm going to keep it, professional, classy. I don't want it to get out of hand, but I'm definitely gonna give my thoughts and what I think they should have done.
Are you kidding me? Clouds are racist because they're white.
No, that's true. That's very true.
I've put that flip card on a few people a few times.
Right.
Shut up, dude.
Mac OD114 says,
big supporter, good supporter of mine on Instagram.
Awesome. Our minds can do more than affect. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
That's why you hear me often talk about theater of the mind, and it's what we imagine, what we think is happening, what we can picture is always far more scarier than what we do. And it can often be more effective across the board for an audience, because the audience then, I might be thinking something that's different than you, but we're both going to go to our own versions of really creepy and eerie. Whereas if you show us, then it might work for me, but it might not work for Tony, or it might work for Tony, but it might not work for me.
Yep.
And, but if you don't show us and you just allude to things, then it's going to work for both Tony and I, because we're both going to our own place of what the fuck. And sometimes it's the same and sometimes it's different, but it's still the same effect.
Yep.
Love the Christmas tree sort of there in the background. See, I love how when Peter calls her on the phone, he's crying. So there's a little bit of Billy in there, because you hear Peter going, and we've heard Billy
do the same thing. Exactly.
Right. Yep. So it's almost that, wait a minute. And then of course the cops go to the thing, they see the piano smashed, and
now my only question is how could he have not heard him on the other phone when he's talking to the other dude on the other phone? Did he have the other phone muted? Could you have mute phones back then?
Sorry, say that again. What?
When Saxon has the conversation to tell the dude to trace it, and he has one phone and he has the other phone that he's listening on, is he muting the other phone somehow?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Because it's a rotary phone. There's not a push button to mute it.
Well, I think Saxon believes that Peter,
like this phone that he's listening on.
Yeah. I think Saxon believes Peter is the killer.
No, I know, but I'm saying there's nothing for Saxon to mute the phone out. So when Saxon tells the guy to trace the call, wouldn't Peter have heard Saxon? Who's that?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe Peter's just he's not paying attention. He's just totally, yeah. Maybe he can't hear it. I don't know. That's funny.
Jason Knight, your cousin played Jester in Top Gun, Michael Ironside. That's fucking cool, man.
That's great stuff, man. It's great stuff. Let me see here. DMT Infinity says, "Hey, I apologize for my absence this week. That's okay. No need to apologize. It's the holidays, man. I've been working on my album and music video. While I'm rendering the final product, I'ma watch this live stream, consume THC, and enjoy the show. That's what you got to do, buddy."
Especially the THC.
THC, the healthcare. No, I don't know.
That's right. It is the healthcare. It's my healthcare.
There you go. I'll write your prescription.
Every day.
5 times a day.
No, one time a day, usually at night. So.
See that? Oh, I guess that's not. Oh, I thought that was somebody's shadow. Deadshot Ninja says, "Hey Dave, I love Blade Runner. I love Blade Runner too, man. It's not one of my favorite sci-fi movies, and I wouldn't say it's my favorite Harrison Ford movie, but I've come to like it more and more over the years." Amstel54 says, "What are we watching? What do you think? Look at the title, buddy. We're watching the original Black Christmas from 1974, and we are an hour and 12 minutes and 47 seconds into the movie. We're approaching the end of the movie, the next 20 minutes or so, and this is some good stuff."
Yeah, Jason, I agree. Hoping Blumhouse doesn't get Friday or Nightmare. Yep. And believe me, I am very, very worried about what we're going to get in the next 2 Halloween films. Because Blumhouse is so woke on that political message that they're sending out there that I'm saying it now. I have like what Han says, I have a bad feeling about this.
Well, I think
my gut, something just tells me next year I'm going to be pissed walking out of the theater.
I'm just so disappointed that's what the new remake was. And listen, just because I may not agree with certain things, if somebody wants to make a movie and that's what they want to make the movie about, then that's okay. I support their right to do that. And it doesn't mean I'm going to watch it, but I support their right to do that because I think, there's always some good in, some things, and that's fine. But when you use the Black Christmas name, when it has absolutely nothing to do with Black Christmas, it just feels cheap. It feels like you've exploited things. And unfortunately, you've done yourself a disservice. They really have. They've done them because, as Tony said, I mean, maybe all the blah, blah, blah aside, maybe it's not a bad little movie that'll kill an hour and a half. And you're like, oh, that was all right. But when you call it Black Christmas instead of Sleigh Girls or Dark Night or, not Dark Night, but
Fuck Your Holidays.
Yeah. Or Snow Evil or whatever.
Yeah, that's my Christmas horror movie I'm going to make. I'm going to call it Fuck Your Holidays.
Yeah. But because there's an expectation. And so it just puts a bad taste in my mouth. I'm just like, oh, it's too bad. But like I said, I'll be doing a video on it eventually. Let me see here. Deadshot Ninja says, "Hey Dave, I got a question. Have you seen Blade Runner 1982?" Yes, I have. I just answered that, I think. Yes, I've seen it many, 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 many times. Let me see.
Yeah, Aaron Ponder, Halloween Kills trailers this spring. I'd say that. I'd say April, March-ish, somewhere in there. You think?
Movie Chat and More says, "Now you mention it, Dave, what is your favorite Ford film? Star Wars or Raiders or none of the above?" My favorite Harrison Ford film. My favorite Harrison Ford film.
I got it. If I knowing you, I would lean more towards Raiders or like Indiana Jones because I know how much you're a big fan of that. But I don't know if I know you well enough to say, do you like it more than Star Wars?
Well, I mean, but Harrison Ford's done so much. I mean, I loved him in Regarding Henry. I thought he was brilliant in that movie. The Fugitive.
What Lies Beneath is a good flick with him and Michelle Pfeiffer.
100%. Yeah, What Lies Beneath, movie. The Fugitive, Regarding Henry, Presumed Innocent, Clear and Present Danger, Patriot Games.
Even Air Force One.
Air Force One was really good. But between those two, Indiana Jones or Han Solo, I think I'm an Indiana. I think I'd go with Indiana Jones over Han Solo by a hair because I think Indiana Jones is more of a complex character. And I think I'd do that. But my favorite Harrison Ford movie, and this isn't to say that there's anything, again, it's, but it might be The Mosquito Coast. Directed by Peter Weir in 1986. River Phoenix is in
that. Yeah, that's right.
It was ahead of its time. You watch that movie now, and it's 1986, I believe. Helen Mirren plays his wife. The two redhead girls, the twins from The Great Outdoors.
And I mean, didn't Phoenix like really like that was the movie that kind of put him like people were like, wow, this dude can really fucking act.
One of them, yeah. And it was good. That's probably one of my favorite.
Because that was right around Stand By Me, right? It was close. Not exactly.
86, something like that. Yeah. So regarding Henry, for sure. Here's Billy making some phone calls again. So yeah, we're coming up to last 20 minutes of the movie.
Boy, this movie's like flying.
I know.
It feels like there should be another hour. I
know, and yet it's like a 97-minute movie.
Yeah,
it's like 7 minutes longer than Halloween. Look at this; it's so creepy.
Dylan McMillan, have you guys ever done a commentary on John Carpenter's The Thing? No, but I think we're probably gonna do that.
Yep. Listen to this.
I know, man. He's like deep off the deep end now. I mean, not that he wasn't before, but he's just getting more aggressive with each call.
That's right. Take the baby. It's so creepy.
Halloween Boy 69. If you guys had to be killed by a horror film icon, who would it be? I'm gonna say Michael, and the reason for that is
Michael Myers.
Michael will at least let me finish having sex with a girl, whereas Jason won't, Freddy won't, Leatherface definitely won't. Michael will though. Michael will at least let me finish and then off me.
Right. Gotcha.
Ghostface, he'll just keep calling and pissing me off.
That's right. And Freddy will end up being the woman that you're having sex with.
Exactly, which I'm like, fuck, what the hell?
That's right. Oh, it's funny. Now, here's where I think this might be the first time we hear the name Agnes. There it is.
Yeah, where's Agnes?
It's downright creepy. Now, the guy that did all the voices as Billy actually recorded them lying upside down off his bed. He did that because he wanted to feel awkward and just uncomfortable and not himself, let's say. He wanted to put himself in a strange position. I love this. That's impossible. Listen to that. It's just so great.
I love Saxon's reaction.
He's
starting to put it together like,
that's right.
Shit.
The calls are coming from within the house. And again, we've seen this before in When a Stranger Calls and things like that. This is before When a Stranger Calls, but it's that old urban legend of the babysitter and the man upstairs.
Yep.
Obviously, this isn't a babysitter, but same principle.
Frank Riker super chat. Hey, Dave, would you ever read for an audiobook? And Tony, would you ever do a photo shoot for Playboy? Dave, take it. You answer first. Haven't you done one already?
Audiobook? No.
I thought you did.
I probably would never read an audiobook. No, because it's just very time consuming, and there's a lot of nuance and it's just really, I don't like to read anyway. So, to read an audiobook, I've actually thought about, not an audiobook, but for you guys, I've actually thought about reading the original Halloween screenplay from top to bottom.
You should. Why not?
Putting it up online. Yeah.
You got enough still images out there that you can keep people, paced with you and what you're reading. And
yeah, I've thought about doing that. But we'll see. But an audiobook, man, my hat goes off to those who do it. It's a very tedious and long process.
And as for me, I don't really need to shoot Playboy because I've done enough nude photography. And actually, I think I'm going to do a book, an art book, publish an art book one day of all the nude stuff that I've taken. Because I've taken some pretty creative stuff, not your typical stuff. So it's like I've done enough of it as a photographer that to do Playboy would be pretty much doing the same thing. And with Playboy, there would be restraints and I'd have to follow their guidelines.
Hang on a sec, Tony. Hang on. I love this. The calls are coming from in the house. It's like, just tell me to... No, Jess! Jess! Look at that shot. Zoom right from the top of the stairs right down. And she's looking up, and you just see that single light up there. Very old school style of execution here. Yeah, it's creepy. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to...
No, you're good.
Make sure that...
I just would be hauling ass, get the fuck out of there.
I know. I love how angry she goes, please, please! She just starts screaming it. It's great. Olivia Hussey came from the theater. She's known mostly for her theater. This is the big eye.
She's great. She's a great theater actress.
She is.
I mean, she literally was perfect to play Juliet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
In the original, one of the first, original screen movie versions of Romeo and Juliet. I know there was a couple before that, but the one that people most identify, the Juliet is her.
That's right. Yep.
Not Claire Danes. Sorry, guys, from the middle '90s fans of the MTV version of Romeo and Juliet. Although that was good, it was fun, but Olivia brought it to a whole another fucking level.
I love the different layers of the house. Like, just she goes up, you got to look up this way, you got to look up that way. Yeah. He could be in any, in every corner, kind of seeping out. Yeah. And I love when she opens the door and she sees Phil, or Phyllis, I guess, Phil, short for Phyllis, and her two friends, like they're on the bed almost posed, with the blood. And she's just like, what the fuck? And then that's, of course, the moment when we see the eye. The very first time I watched this movie, I remember watching it with my buddies. We were in high school early on. And because this is a movie I didn't watch as a kid. And I remember that when that eye comes, we were like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Are you kidding me?
I had
Here it comes. Sorry, I just don't want to miss this. There we go. They're like posed. Like, what the fuck? And then here comes the eye.
It's like Laurie discovering the bodies.
Yep.
In the upstairs of the house.
It's me, Billy. That's what he said. He said, it's me, Billy. That eye is so creepy. That's so great.
Boy, when you really watch this, there's a lot of Halloween does a lot of callbacks to Black Christmas.
Yeah.
When you really watch this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels there.
Yeah. A lot of scenes that are similar.
Yep, 100%.
I was just thinking how Laurie fell down the stairs. Michael's chasing her. Olivia runs down the stair. Billy chases her.
That's right. And then it suddenly just stops. And it's like it was so violent and so, come on! It's like, how the hell? It just stops like on a dime. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Very
creepy. Let me see here.
And she's got a poker in her hand. Laurie had a knife in her hand.
Yep, that's right. She's going into the basement here.
Oh, no. What I was going to say is my uncle's wife, my aunt, great aunt, because it was my great uncle. Her name was Phyllis as well, too. And when I became a teenager, I became a smart ass. And I'd always walk in the house and be like, what's up, Aunt Syphilis? Yeah, I got a few smacks upside the head for that one.
I bet. I thought you were going to say, hey, what's up, Uncle Phil?
No. I was like, what's up, Aunt Syphilis?
That's funny. Oh, man. Now, of course, I don't know where that is in Toronto, but somewhere.
Yeah, Caleb's right. Laurie drops the knife. Yeah, she does.
She does.
5 times.
She drops it, like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, what are you doing?
I know. At some point, you might want to hang on to that fucker,
Yes, exactly. Like, come on.
Like Olivia does. She hangs on to the fire poker. She doesn't let it go.
Yep. Of course, Peter eventually makes his way.
I think Carpenter did that deliberately because he knew fans were going to scream out, "Don't drop the knife!"
100%. Oh, for sure. Well, she does it. I think she does it twice. She does it in the living room downstairs after she pokes him, and then upstairs in the master bedroom. Now, keep in mind, Jess hasn't seen what Billy looks like.
No, just the eye, right?
Just the eye. And when Billy grabbed onto her hair, Jess that's a great shot. That silhouette of the hand.
The boyfriend. Yeah.
Yes, coming up like that. It's really creepy. Jess doesn't know what Billy looks like. So when Peter reveals himself here, she believes that it's Peter.
Yep.
You know? And I think I'd have to go back. I don't like to go back because obviously we want to do these in real time. But when Billy grabs for Jess, is he wearing a similar color sleeve? Something like that.
I think so. I'd have to go back too.
I'd have to go back and check. But nonetheless, Jess doesn't know that wasn't Peter. So when you see him here, she's convinced it's him.
Well, Mr. Movie Buff 01, yeah, I think that was the reason why in the 2018 Halloween film, Andy Matichak didn't drop the knife. I think that was kind of also a wink of like, yeah, Andy held on to that bitch until the very end of the film.
Right. Yeah, Greatest Voices says the audience doesn't know either. Technically, that's true, but true. That's true, but it's more to do. It's true, but I think...
it's true, Kurt Angle.
It's true.
It's true.
He is right. But there's something in the movie that sort of sets that apart. I forget what it is. I got to go back. I'd have to watch it again. But you're not wrong. And this is really cool. Like, I mean, it's yeah, there's something that happens in the movie that sets it apart, and you know that it's not Peter.
Yeah, Frank.
It's not Peter. I forget what it is.
On the super chat, will we ever watch Maniac? That wouldn't be a good one to go. That's a.
So obviously, Peter is looking for Jess, finds her, approaches her, and it just cuts. And then of course we see what happens afterward. I love all these zooms in this movie. Really creepy way to utilize the zooms.
And I like how Peter plays it off too. Like, it's such a great conscious decision for Bob Clark to do here. To still make you think like it may be him.
That's right. And the way he's getting close to the camera like this, like, what are you doing? Come here. Very, very sort of imposing.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell? The scream that you hear, which is always good too. Bedford Falls.
Yeah. Isn't that what It's a Wonderful Life? Isn't that the town? Bedford Falls?
Something like that.
Isn't that what the name of the town? Someone in the chat room help me out if I'm right or wrong on that. Isn't it Bedford Falls where George and Mary live and have a wonderful life?
John Saxon now.
That's one of the few Christmas movies that I'll watch. It's a Wonderful Life. I'm not a big Christmas movie guy, but that's one of them I will watch.
Yeah. Lee Bauer says, "Happy holidays, buddy. Today is my birthday. I'm officially 33 years old. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, Lee." Now, this is such a great shot. We see Jess in the corner, of course, and Peter on her lap, dead. And you think Jess might be dead, but she's not.
Again, another good fake out, that they did. I love it.
She actually killed Peter in self-defense, thinking it was her murderer. And it really wasn't. This is such an amazing ending.
It's one of the best endings in a horror film. It really is.
It is. Now, keep in mind, Jess...
In my opinion. I'm not,
it is.
Differently, which is fine.
Well, I mean, listen, it's certainly in a top 10.
Yeah.
100%. You know what I mean? Maybe a top 5, but definitely a top 10. But I love how she's still pregnant, right? I mean, she's still got the baby in her, which I won't say too much for It's Me, Billy, but
don't spoil it, man. Just keep us waiting.
Not gonna spoil it. So
Are you going to release it before Christmas of next year, or are you going to release it around Christmas of next year?
Well, I don't know. It's
Okay.
entirely possible we may not get to shooting until next fall or early December or something like that. So it may not be released at Christmas time.
Okay.
It may not even get released until 2021. It all depends.
Don't rush
on,
it.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
it right. Take your time.
Exactly. We might release it in, the spring or something like that. And ideally we'd love to release it at Christmas time, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Adam, Carl, well, hold on, Adam. Let's get to, I'm going to answer your question as soon as this ending is done here, because it's just about over, and it's just such a great ending.
Because you feel the commotion, you feel a sense of security, because you can hear the voices, you can see the police officers, you can see everybody there. So even though you might know that Peter was not Billy, because there is something that happens in the movie that does tip us off that it's not Peter, but not to the characters, but to us. So even though you're like, well, hang on a sec, but you do feel a sense of security here. Right? That everything is, because there's so many people in the house. And then that begins to dissipate. And Jess is lying there. She's taken a sedative or whatever, injected to help her sleep and calm down. And you start to hear, the 10 voices become 8, become 5, become 4, 3, 2, 1. And then nothing. And then all that remains is not just Jess there, but the one police officer who's, I believe, on the porch for the very last shot. Yep. And what's really great is they still have never found Claire, or the house mom for that matter, but especially Claire, because she's seated next to the window. But this is so awesome. Look how it's on that shot, and it didn't break. It just started to pan.
That's it. Yeah.
It started to pan, and we start to go, I believe we start to head towards the attic here. See a bedroom where I believe, that's so creepy.
Showing some of the places where Billy was, very similar to what Carpenter does at the end of Halloween.
Yep.
Boy, I watch this now. I'm like, damn, Carpenter, you really fucking hijacked this movie. Jeez, dude.
He took inspiration from
it,
but he made it his own.
Absolutely, which is nothing wrong with that. There's
nothing wrong with that at all.
Because he did make it his own. It's not duplicating scenes, but you can see the similarities.
You can see the inspiration.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. For sure. And both are 70s films, and both are low-budget horror. So they both have a very similar visual aesthetic, and the curtains, the cars, the dress, you know what I mean? So that helps as well. But this is so great. You just hear the clock ticking in the background, and the camera slowly
you don't hear
down
the
hall.
music?
I don't hear any music, no.
Am I getting a different version than that?
Oh, maybe it's outside, maybe, or something?
Oh, no, that's the wind. I'm sorry.
That's the wind. Yeah, it's the wind.
Okay.
It's the wind. And then the camera moves up to the attic and just shows the attic. It's like, fuck, that slowness. It's just so carefully methodical. And oh, you hear Billy humming.
Okay, so it was someone singing.
Yes, it's Billy humming. Agnes. It's me.
Okay,
Billy.
so I was hearing some. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, oh, it's me, Billy.
Yeah, he says, Agnes, it's me, Billy. And then look at this shot just coming out of the attic. She's so great.
And it's so fluid that you can't even see the cut.
No, you can't. And then, of course, there's a cross dissolve.
Yep.
And we move
good old 70s transitions with the cross dissolves.
Yep. And Jess is still in there. Do you know what I mean?
Make a note for yourself, because I'm gonna grade you. I'm gonna criticize you on it if you don't. You better throw in a couple cross dissolves. Little call back to the old school ways of filmmaking.
I may do it. And then, of course, you see the cop on the porch. And that's it. You just begin to hear the phone ring.
Dog barking.
The dog barking, the wind.
All is quiet.
Yeah. And then the phone begins to ring, and there's no music. It's just the wind.
There's hardly any music in this movie.
It's all just sound design. Just very, and roll the credits. And that's it. And the phone continues to ring and ring and ring. And
Billy wants his phone call.
He does. It's like, damn. You know, like it's such a great ending. It's like, but that didn't end well. No, it didn't, did it? It's Black Christmas.
It's Black Christmas.
You know? One of my favorite movies of all time, for sure.
Such a good movie.
Yep. It's full of nuance, and that's what's so great. You know, it's just Tony, they don't make them like this anymore, man. They don't. It's
an old saying, but it's true. They don't make them like they used to.
No, they don't, and it's really cool. And just the phone just keeps ringing, and the credits keep rolling. And when it gets to the end credits here, filmed in Panavision, here we go. Produced in cooperation with the Canadian Film Development Corporation and Famous Players. Oh, that's funny. Famous Players used to be a cinema chain here in Canada. It's no longer here. And that's it, folks.
That's it.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
That was Black Christmas, the original 1974 classic. Hey, let's jump over to the chat room for a little bit. And I don't have another, say we can do 20 minutes.
Cool.
And take some questions. Tony, take it away.
Yeah, Adam, Carl Green asked this. I told him I'd get back to him. D&T, apologies if you've already answered this, but do you guys have favorite Christmas movies? Yeah, I mean, you know, there's some that I do watch, like Home Alone, Scrooged with Bill Murray. I do like George C. Scott's Christmas Carol. That was one I grew up with a lot. My father watched that. Same thing with It's a Wonderful Life. I had mentioned that earlier.
Right.
Then, you know, some of the classic cartoons we grew up with as kids, Charlie Brown's Christmas, Rudolph, Grinch Stole Christmas, Frosty. And, you know, really... National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yep.
That's like my collection of Christmas movies is very small. I may own
that's a
like
lot.
that.
I mean, that's a lot right
not
there.
Even 10. That's not even 10.
No, but that's a lot. I mean, I don't even think I have that many. I mean, I would say
Die Hard if we're gonna count Die Hard.
Here's why for me, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Now, it all depends on...
Gremlins. Yeah.
It all depends on what your definition of a Christmas movie is. If your definition of a Christmas movie is a movie that just happens to take place at Christmas, well, then Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
Yep.
But if your definition of a Christmas movie is... And I'm not a religious person, but a Christmas movie to me is the fundamental foundation of... You hear me... I know you hear me say that a lot, but the fundamental crux there, I'll use that word, of the narrative is about the spirit of Christmas. So there's a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
There's something that happens in the movie about love and friendship, and there's the spirit of Christmas is the central theme of the movie. So you look at It's a Wonderful Life, you look at, One Magic Christmas, you look at even Home Alone, I mean, it's more of a, kids kind of, but the spirit of Christmas is very much alive and well and in that movie. Christmas Vacation, even though it's an outright screwball comedy, the spirit of Christmas is alive and well in that vacation. In Die Hard, yes, it takes place at Christmas, and they definitely, have Christmas things going on because it's a Christmas party at Christmas time. You see hats and trinkets and the trees and things, Run
like DMC, Christmas in Hollis.
Right. But Hans Gruber is not there to steal a plethora of Christmas trees because he's a Scrooge.
It is not Christmas until Hans Gruber is falling off the Nakatomi building, okay?
Well, fair enough. But to me, Die Hard is one of my favorite action movies of all time. But it's not a Christmas movie in the traditional sense. I think somewhere like I know the director or the DP or one of the producers no, it's a Christmas movie, or whatever. Even Bruce Willis says it's not a Christmas movie. But I think somewhere along the lines, what ended up happening really at the end of the day is somebody started to say it years ago because it was funny. You know what I mean? Not that it actually is a Christmas movie, but it's funny because if you have to actually say that, or explain that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, then is it really a Christmas movie? I mean, nobody is arguing whether Home Alone's a Christmas movie. Nobody argues whether It's a Wonderful Life is a Christmas movie. Right. Why are we arguing that Die Hard's, it should just be a Christmas movie? Yeah. But the reason why people debate over it is because it's not really in the traditional sense. You have to stretch it to make it fit, you know, and then you go, look, it's a Christmas movie. But why doesn't anybody argue that Die Hard 2 is a Christmas movie? You know, I mean, why aren't we talking about that? You know, why aren't we talking about any movie that takes place at Christmas time? So for me, a Christmas movie traditionally is something that the crux of the narrative is about the spirit of Christmas and family. There's a message, there's a moral, you know, whatever it is, right? So
listen, the message in that movie is simple. Welcome to the party, pal. Yippee-ki-yay, mofo.
I love it. It's one of my favorite action movies of all time, 100%.
Although Christmas Story is another good Christmas movie. I just haven't watched it in a while because TNT kills me with that when it does the marathon with it. So I've like stayed away. TNT is one of our American networks that does like its marathon from Christmas Eve through Christmas Day, plays it like all day long. But I got burnt out on that movie, and I've actually haven't watched it probably in about a good 5 years. I'm like, yeah, maybe wait 5 more years and I'll watch it again.
Yeah. No, it's look, I love.
You'll shoot your eye out.
I love getting into the debate of whether Die Hard's a Christmas movie. It's just fun fodder at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You can certainly say it's a Christmas movie. Absolutely, it works. But then But then, where's the bar? Like if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, then technically any movie that takes place at Christmas is a Christmas movie.
Batman Returns
is a Christmas movie. You know, like where's the, like, you know what I mean? So anyway, I get it and it's fun.
Yep.
But traditionally, I think of Christmas movies in the traditional sense, you know? Yeah. But anyway, let's see here. Tiger Man says John McClane is trying to get home to his family is part of the plot. Well, no, but
not really.
Not really. I mean, he went home to see his family.
To his family, yeah.
But then the rest of the movie is about the Nakatomi Tower being under siege and John McClane being the only guy there, having to, you know, save the day. Hans Gruber is there not because it's Christmas. He's not there to steal a bunch of trees or a bunch of wreaths. He's there for a completely different thing. It's just it's a heist movie set against the backdrop of Christmas.
Right.
But it's not necessarily, you know, all about, you know, the Christmas season or things like that. But again, it depends on it depends on your definition, right? If you think it's a Christmas movie, that's great. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Matthew Hawkins, thank you for reminding me. Now I can ask Dave the question. He said, Tony, what was your Star Wars question? So it's not really a question, more of a statement that I'm going to make Dave think about. So you've seen Phantom Menace, right?
Yes, not in years, but yes.
Okay. So you remember the moment where Obi-Wan is dangling for his life?
Yes.
And Darth Maul is looking down at him.
Yes.
Darth Maul has the high ground.
Yes.
How does Obi-Wan complete what Anakin failed to do?
Because George Lucas wrote it.
How come no one's ever done a video on that? I looked it up on YouTube. I'm like, has anyone done a video on this? Nope, no one's done a video on it. Surprisingly, on every theory about Star Wars out there, nobody's done a video on how Darth Maul has the high ground on Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan literally does the exact same flip in the air bullshit and cuts Darth Maul in half. Anakin does it 2 movies later and fucking gets his shit cut off. I'm like, okay, George, you're contradicting yourself, buddy.
I hear you. I guess maybe Darth Maul just he wasn't as you know, ready for. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, I mean he's the shit.
You need to do a video on that though.
I mean, maybe I should. That'd be funny. Let's see here. Okay, we'll go for another 10 minutes or so. Let me see. E_S18 says, would it be creepier if Michael Myers was never called Michael Myers, just the shape? Would it be creepier? Well, perhaps, but then he would have to be, you'd have to justify why nobody was calling him by his name.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Because then it takes a lot out of the Loomis plot.
Right, exactly.
It really does take a lot out of Loomis's plot.
Because he's a child. I mean, he would be a child that didn't have a name or something like that. Or do you just mean that people just kept referring to him as the shape?
The shape. Yeah, because you imagine like the dialogue Loomis saying, referring to him as the shape with Sheriff Brackett. It would just be a weird dialogue.
Be weird, but something to think about.
For sure.
Let's see here. Greatest Voices says, I couldn't be more excited for It's Me, Billy. Thank you so much, buddy. We are excited. We are very excited to bring it to you. I can't tell you. We're very, again, we're in the development stage, heading towards pre-production next year, but I'm just very excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Frank Riker, Trading Places, a Christmas movie. Well, it's kind of Christmas and New Year's because they do go into New Year's as well too.
Well, again, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a Christmas movie, but you could make an argument for it because, yeah, I mean, it
kind of goes into the whole holidays though. It's not just Christmas.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. And there are some Christmassy things that have the spirit. And of course you see him in a Santa suit, Dan Aykroyd and the whole thing. I mean,
eating his salami or sandwich.
I would say Trading Places is a Christmas movie over Die Hard. And again, it's not that, look, if you think Die Hard's a Christmas movie, it's great. It's great. Yeah. I just think that it's not traditionally one, I don't think. I just think somebody somewhere along the line 30 years ago was like, hey, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. And it's just like, oh, that's kind of funny. Yeah. That is kind of, it takes place at Christmas. And it just caught on like wildfire. And now everybody's just like, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Lordy. Okay, what do we got here? Jason Dyke says, I want to see Star Wars go back like 2,000 years before A New Hope and do something new. Well, funny enough, I want to see Star Wars go like into the future and do something new in like another part of the galaxy that nobody even knows about.
Or like I mentioned this before the stream, I mean, a lot of fans who read the old novels like I do and the new ones, I do read some of the new ones. I would love for them to do a Thrawn trilogy, but the problem is with the Thrawn trilogy, Heir of the Empire takes place a few years after Return of the Jedi. Heir is the first book of the Thrawn trilogy, of the old Thrawn trilogy, I should say. Right. And you would have to recast Luke and Leia because they're younger. And I just don't think a lot of the diehard fans out there would accept two new actors because we saw what happened with Solo and everyone was like, oh, it's not Harrison Ford. Yeah. Well, of course it's not Harrison Ford, but if we maybe can think outside the box a little bit, we could get more movies that have Han Solo in it, and we could get a good, I was thinking about this the other day. You could put the Russo brothers in charge of a Thrawn trilogy, and Star Wars fans are going to be like, yeah, I don't want that. It's just not my Luke. It's not my Leia. I'm like, well, fuck, it's the Russo brothers. Shit, man. Like, come on. You don't trust that they could do something great with this? And that's the problem where lies, we can't get beyond just what we know. And that's why I said at the beginning of where I was talking to Dave, a lot of reasons why people like this new film is there's familiarity. When Star Wars has the familiarity, why people like Mandalorian, because it's familiar. I finally got Disney Plus and watched the first episode. I'm like, oh, okay, I see now what everybody's fucking talking about. Right. It's familiar. It's familiar beats, and that's what people want. And it's a shame because there's, like Dave was just saying, there is so much that they could do if people would just allow these, companies to do it. More importantly, you get someone like a Feige who can really put this universe together and do it right. Yeah, I've never been, I know there's a lot of people that would love to go back to the Knights of the Old Republic, and I understand it and I get it. And I'm not here to say that if they did that, I wouldn't be first in line and I wouldn't think the movies were great. But if you were to ask me, do you care? Is that what you want them to do? I'm not a sweaty, hardcore Star Wars fan. I thought I was at one time, but I realized in 2019 I'm just not. You know what I mean? I at one time I may have been, but now there's so much books, comics, lore. So for me, I couldn't care less whether they do that. I actually would love it if they went forward. And not necessarily with Rey and Finn and Poe, although I'd love to. The chemistry between them was so good. It's like, where was this in the second movie? You know what I mean? Like, now it's like, oh, it's too bad it's all over because I would love to see more of them. More of that, sure. But where the fuck, like, God damn it. Yeah. Anyway, so not necessarily that, but I would love maybe, it's in another part of the galaxy that doesn't even include. Exactly. Right. Exactly. And so but it's moving forward. Yep. And there's a new villain that sort of, and maybe there's some Easter eggs. Like maybe there's like, well, did you hear about, the Skywalker thing that happened in what I don't know, something that, or maybe another part of the universe in another galaxy, or something. Just kind of move it forward, because there's so much material for that to do, and it's just we stick to this one little thing, and it's like, come on. Because although the Knights of the Old Republic are so far removed from what we know right now, it's still in the same line. It's still in the same linear line. Yes, it's 2,000 years before, but it's still in the same linear line. And I'm just like, can we
maybe go outside of that line and do something over here, you know,
I'm
or
with
something
you.
like that. I don't know.
I'm 100% with you on it. I would love to see that, but you know the fan base, man. I mean, yeah, it's not what I want. I want what I know, and I want my familiarity.
I hear you, man. Movie Chat and More says, Dave, you said you enjoyed DiCaprio movies a lot. Does that include Titanic? I saw it 4 times in the cinema. Yeah, it does. I thought Titanic was great. I haven't seen it in many years. I saw it in the theater once with my mom and I think my brothers, when it came out in late 97, early 98. And yeah, I like that movie. It's not a DiCaprio movie I visit a lot, but it's certainly, I mean, he's just one of those actors. And I think Adam Driver is going to be one of those actors.
For sure.
I thought
same with Robert Pattinson. He's coming into his own.
Robert Pattinson, Adam Driver, Bale, you know, DiCaprio. Like these guys, like watching The Rise of Skywalker. Adam Driver, I believe him. I
have no complaints. Like literally, I may not have enjoyed the film, but I enjoyed him and his character.
Yeah, he was just like, it was emotional and intense, and he loses himself in the role. So, having said that, I can't wait to watch. Is it Marriage Story or Marriage or something? The one he's in now with it's on Netflix. What's her face?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I'm seeing her face. I know.
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes,
Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. And but DiCaprio is one of those guys that he's so believable in every role he's in. Yep. So he's one of my favorite actors working today for sure.
I got a good question for you. And you can only pick one. If you could go back to 1977 and you're old enough to appreciate it, would you want to be the guy on the production staff that worked on the Star Wars film and all the effects and everything like that, and this whole new way of filmmaking and revolutionizing the filmmaking process? Or would you want to have been the fan in theater seeing it for the very first time, because you, the visual guy now, if you made the film, you know how you pulled the trick off. Whereas you, the audience, you're like, holy fuck, I'm seeing something I have never seen before. How the fuck did they do this? What would you want to be?
That's a great question. You know what? I'm going to say
it's tough, isn't it?
It's very tough. It's very tough. You know, at this moment in time, I think I'm going to say the fan. To sit in that theater and see the world change in terms of how movies are made, and to have that, you know, I mean, I remember being in the theater for Jurassic Park, and say what you want about, and I actually quite like this movie, and this isn't that long ago, it's only 10 years ago, but Avatar changed certain things again.
Sure.
And watching Avatar and just going, Jesus, cameras, like the cameras that Cameron used on Avatar didn't exist before what he did with Avatar. And the shit that he's doing on the Avatar sequel, the shit that he's doing. God.
It's like, I'm like, oh, I can't imagine what's about to come our way.
It didn't exist before. He's an innovator. He's very much like a Lucas in that way. And so, you know, and I remember Jurassic Park, and then of course, you know, you go back and I wasn't old, I wasn't alive when Star Wars came out, but Star Wars especially changed the culture. It changed the toy landscape.
It took the filmmaking landscape to a whole new level.
And there's movies before Star Wars and there's movies after Star Wars. And I don't have that perspective because I was born in 1979. So to be able to have that perspective would be really fascinating and interesting, because I have seen certain movies, like I said, you know, where you realize the game has changed. Like when I saw Jurassic Park in 1993 at 14, I knew the game had changed. I was old enough to know this has changed something, right? In terms of digital special effects. You knew that. And it was an event. You know, movies are rarely events anymore. You do get them, but they're rarely events anymore. And you know, Avatar was an event. Jurassic Park was an event. You know, and you don't get that anymore because there's like 9 blockbusters, you know, released every month now. But having said that, I think that's what to see that and experience that
oh man,
and the shit.
I watched
like,
A New
what
Hope.
the fuck is this?
I've been on a Star Wars binge since, Rise came out and watching all the flicks. And I was sitting there the other night watching A New Hope, and I'm like, man, just to have been in the theater, to know what people were, seeing this for the first time must have been like. Yeah. It must have been the coolest thing ever to experience.
100%. 100%.
Jason Nike here. I know you've said this a couple times, and I meant to say this earlier. Yes, you are correct. The Steadicam, Rocky was the first movie to execute the Steadicam.
Yep.
Halloween was the first movie to execute the Steadicam from a POV perspective. That's what I meant to say before. No one had really utilized that because it'd only been out for a year, and not even a year by the time.
Right.
By the time Rocky's done and made and released, Halloween is in production less than 6 months later in *78, and then released that fall. So the Steadicam was still relatively new. So yes, you are correct in that aspect. The Steadicam was first used in the fight scenes in the original Rocky, but Halloween was the first. Cundy was the first to use it from the POV. Now, was it Cundy or Carpenter who made the decision? I don't know, but Cundy was the guy filming it. He was a Carpenter cinematographer, and to use it from the POV perspective,
Gotcha.
Halloween was.
Let's see here. Mr. Movie Buff 01 says, do you think people are going to care and go see Avatar 2? Well,
for the new technology that you just said.
It's a fair question. Avatar was in the pop culture for about a year, and it is gone. Really, Avatar 2 should have come in and around like 2012 or 13. It's going to be like 2021 now.
Unless the technology wasn't there for Cameron.
Right. But I will say this. Do not doubt James Cameron.
Ever.
I mean, look
at his resume. Aliens with an S. Terminator, T2. Didn't he do The Abyss?
He did The Abyss.
And then not only that, I think he's been a part of a lot of shit. Like, I think he did something for Nightmare on Elm Street, right? He did some of the effects or some shit.
I
think he was a part of.
Someone
in the chat helped me out on that. I'm almost positive. But and then Titanic, and then Avatar. I mean, never
True lie.
Never bet against Cameron. Ever.
Never bet. James Cameron in Titanic had the highest grossing movie of all time. Then he topped himself with Avatar in 2009.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is that don't bet against him. When the trailers come out, listen, we know it's going to be a visual spectacle, something we've never seen before. Cameron has said this. Now, whether this is going to be ready and in place for Avatar 2 is up for debate. Cameron says it might not be. But Cameron, this is his level of thinking. He says, I want to create movies. Well, he didn't say this verbatim, but I'm paraphrasing, but he basically says that we're working on technology that could eventually see 3D movies where you don't have to wear glasses. Which
that thought process. I mean, now we're talking Back to the Future 2 shit. I mean, we really are.
Are you kidding me? And look, Cameron is, it's. I laugh at when people say, but Avatar 2, which is Pocahontas in space. It's like, yeah, and Star Wars, if you know your history and the hero's journey and mythology, and it's not that
religion,
it's not right. It's not that. Listen, the emperor is the pope or the devil. I would say I know the pope.
You could literally say,
but
that
I'm just
the
saying,
Force is loosely based on Christianity.
100%. Oh, listen. There's rarely new stories. There's just new ways to interpret them and tell them and show them from this perspective, from that perspective. And if they listen, there's a very specific reason why Star Wars has resonated with so many people. Okay, it's not the spaceships that do it. It's not the lightsabers that do it. It's the story. It's the God, it's so hard to explain. But it's, let's just say that Avatar I really enjoyed because Cameron tends to deliver movies where there's stuff for everybody. And that's what I enjoyed about it. I thought it was a great science fiction spectacle. That was great. And never doubt James Cameron. I will just say that. Cameron will, will it be great? I don't know. But I'll tell you right now, I mean, he's working on underwater shit that no one has ever done before. He said the reason why it's taken this long is because of the technology.
There you go.
I mean, Pretty heavy stuff. I wish I could go more deep into it, but I gotta,
Michael
Anyway.
Myers asked a question because I wanted to bring this up tonight as well too. Do you think Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker would be Avengers Endgame in the box office? No, I think. First of all, it's flopped in the second largest movie market. That's China. It's flopped hugely in China.
It always does. It doesn't do well over there.
And because of the negative reviews here in the States and Canada as well, too, I'm counting them as domestically in the numbers here in the States. The fact that it only did 176 million. Now, I say only, but you got to remember, second week, you usually get 50% or higher drop off. And I think it's going to be higher than 50%. I think it's going to be somewhere in the 80s, 90s. I think this thing is going to struggle to even get close to Joker. And Joker did over $1 billion. And I mean, it will get to $1 billion, but I think it's going to be a very painfully crawl to that billion number. And no, God, it's not going to go anywhere near Endgame.
No, God, but it was never going to go anywhere near Endgame. To say, see, it didn't get anywhere near Endgame is just kind of silly. No. Look, here's the thing. The Rotten Tomatoes score right now, I think, is about 56% or something like that. Now, what that tells you is that about half of the people liked it. Half of the people were like, not so much. That's what that is. But the hypocrisy is what I find so funny about Rotten Tomatoes. Because the same people I find that are telling you that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't matter, I don't listen to fucking Rotten Tomatoes, I don't give a shit what the hell is here, are now saying all of a sudden, you see? Look at Rotten Tomatoes. I told you the rise is... Hang on a second. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Either Rotten Tomatoes matters or it doesn't.
Oh, I know. I've seen that hypocrisy all week on YouTube.
It's it's unbelievable. How Rotten Tomatoes works, essentially, is it's not... Don't base it... It's not about quality. It's about consensus, right? So they take... Say there's 500 reviews and there's 250 of them are positive. Well, they take the 250 and they make an average out and things like that. And then they look and then it's going to be about a 50% kind of thing, like whatever it is. But also keep in mind that a reviewer who gives a 6 out of 10, let's say, on a Rotten Tomatoes thing, that's actually a fresh score. Yeah. So just because you see a tomato beside a reviewer's name doesn't mean they gave it a 10 out of 10. It doesn't mean they gave it a 9 out of 10. It doesn't mean they gave it an 8 out of 10. It means they gave it a favorable review, that I liked it more than I didn't. And just because you see a beside somebody's name doesn't mean they gave it a 1 out of 10 or a 1 out of 5. Sometimes it does, because you can look and, see. But it could mean they gave it a 5 out of 10 or a 2.5 out of 5. Which means, there's things I liked, there's things I didn't, but unfortunately at the end of the day, it just didn't kind of hit with it. Doesn't mean that it's dog shit, and the tomato doesn't mean that it's amazing. It's a general consensus. So now, I agree that it's one of the lowest rated Star Wars films. My estimation is, I've read a lot of the reviews, and like I've said in my videos, it surprises me. Because much of what everybody is saying, I'm like, well, what did you expect? I mean, you got The Last Jedi to thank for that. There's only so much JJ could do. And considering what he had to work with and almost doing a second and third act in one movie, I thought, considering what he had to work with, it was all right. I mean, it was never going to be, it should be the end game of Star Wars. It should be the Return of the King of Star Wars, but it was never going to be. Because it can't be, because you fucked up in your middle act. And the middle act is the most important act out of the 3-act play. So, all I'm going to say is that I understand that the critic rating, I don't see it as bad, actually. I think it's a 56% tells me that it's mixed. And because when you look at the reviews, there are actually more favorable reviews than non-favorable reviews. Like, for example, if I do this right now, very quickly, let me hear.
Well, while you're doing that, Jason Nike, you say something here that I said to Dave before the stream. He says, I think the fandom is ruining the franchise. Let's enjoy the movie. That's exactly right. And that's specifically why I know a lot of you were asking me on Instagram, will I do a review with Dave? I don't want to do it, specifically for the reason that I didn't enjoy the film, but Dave did. I don't want to contribute into the toxicity that's going on with this franchise and the pop shots that people are taking at this franchise now, because there's a lot to this franchise that I love. There's a lot of movies that I've enjoyed. I'm in the middle of reading a great book right now called Dark Lord, which is a sequel to Revenge of the Sith. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, why contribute into this, negativity just because I didn't like the film, but Dave did? You know what I mean? Like I just feel like it's a cheap move now. I'm seeing all these clickbaity freaking titles on YouTube that I'm like, okay, yeah, you're just doing this for the review. I've listened to some of the reviewers out there and I'm just like, like I said to Dave in a private message this week, if I were to do a stream with Dave, I would critique it from a creator's point of view, from a photographer's point of view, creative decisions that I didn't agree with JJ on in this movie. I wouldn't criticize Rose or whatever that, people get on the Rose bullshit or I don't like how Finn was wearing this suit or it didn't match up to, you know what I mean? Like some of the, like people reach for in video, like there's a YouTuber who's got like over 1 million subscribers and there's a scene. I'm not going to ruin the scene, but there's a callback scene with Luke and Leia for fans who are fans of the novel that I like. Dave will tell you word for word. I was geeking out, smiling ear to ear, because to me, that's my childhood. That's the novels that I'm reading. I'm like, I was so happy that JJ threw it in there. That's when I made the decision to tell Dave, like, dude, I don't want to do that. And I don't want to contribute to it because I still love this franchise.
Right.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it where it's at. And like Nike, you just said, just enjoy the movies, and that's what it should be about.
Well, it's just, it's the Rotten Tomato score. Yes, right now it's 56% the critics, 86% the viewers. And so what you have here is you have 380 critics have weighed in, okay? 212 of them have given the movie a fresh score. 168 of them have given the movie a non-fresh score.
There you go.
So even though again, it's a general consensus. Don't go by because okay. If you really want to know how Rotten Tomatoes works, if you really want to know, YouTube how Rotten Tomatoes works and check out one of the first videos that pop on, which is from Vox, I believe, and listen to that video. It's going to give you a whole new perspective of what really it's all about. Don't look at the number and go, wow. And certainly don't be that person that says, oh, fuck the critics. They don't know what they're talking about. I want Star Wars to fail. See, 56%. Yes,
that's the part of this I don't get. Like, you're right. Well, why do you want something to fail?
Because they have a vested, as I've said many times, what is making this, The Rise of Skywalker was never, even if it was great, like think about this. If you have a vested interest, okay, and what I mean by that is that you have created an identity, you are pissed off at Disney, and you're allowed to be, that's not toxic, you're allowed to be.
Sure.
But you've created, your channel has gotten away from you, and you've almost created the identity of your channel is nothing but talking negative about Disney and Star Wars and The Rise of Skywalker and J.J. Abrams and The Last Jedi and bullshit and this, that, and the other. And you've got 50 videos on your channel where you're talking about it and you're making fun of it and you're doing all this kind of stuff. Okay, fine. You can't then go back to your viewers and say, hey, you know what? It was actually not that bad. Even if you wanted to, you can't do it because you have
that's it. Yeah.
Because you have all these videos on your channel that, because you are this authority figure, in knowing that this is dog shit, and you have viewers that are counting on you to come back and, say it's dog shit. Even if you did like it, you can't say it. It becomes the identity of your that's what's toxic. People that they don't just want it to fail. They need it to fail because they don't want to look like a dick. So even if it was good, they could never admit it. Now, I'm not saying that those who said it wasn't good really think it's good. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that even if these people thought it was good, they can't go back and say how much they loved it because they got people counting on them and they know that's not going to go over well. That's where the toxicity comes from. Are these channels that just do nothing and these channels that say, you see, look at Rotten Tomatoes, but for some reason the critics don't know what they're fucking talking about when it comes to Joker, but they do know what they're talking about when it comes to The Rise of Skywalker. Guys, you can't do that. It either matters or it doesn't. Just because it serves your narrative doesn't mean all of a sudden it matters, right? Which is why at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is go out and judge the movie for yourself. And and if you like it, don't be afraid to say it. And if you don't like it, then as Tony said, you can talk about it. And I mean, Tony and I had a great conversation before this show.
I'm sure we're going to have a lot more after.
Yeah, for sure. We're just talking, because Tony can look at me and go, you know what, Dave? I kind of see what you're talking about there. And I can look at him and go, that's a good point. And we talk back and forth.
The problem is that I will end up being categorized in the toxic, fan base, and I don't want that. And that's the reason why and that's why I don't want to do a live thing on YouTube, because I don't want to be associated with that, because I don't want to see this franchise fail. I don't hate the 100%. Movies. I love everything about 100%. Star Wars. It's next to horror films. Star Wars is pretty much right next in line for me.
For sure. Well, Tony, didn't you know that you're toxic and I'm a shill? Of course I am. Yeah. I'm a shill. You're toxic. That's just the way it is.
I'm sexist. I don't like strong female leads. I'm like, what?
It's funny.
First of all, JJ, thank you for those. Dave knows where I'm going with it. There were a couple of moments where Daisy's ass was perfectly placed in frame, and I'm like, JJ, thank you, and thank you for making her wear white with no panties.
Here's the thing, too, is that the recent Star Wars videos that I posted, obviously I said, you know what? I enjoyed the movie, right? I liked it. But I went into the why. Not just I liked it, I talked about how I was able to like it and why I liked it, right? Well, I always know the people that don't know me and are new to my channel, because they'll start calling me shill and that you just take everything that Hollywood says. I'm like, listen, for those of you that are not new to my channel, know by now that I'm not afraid to say if I like something. I don't care if it's Halloween. I don't care if it's Friday the 13th. I don't care if it's Star Wars. Listen, I thought The Last Jedi was garbage, but I like The Rise of Skywalker. I'm going to tell you what I think. And if you agree with me, that's awesome. And if you don't, that's okay. But the reason why I'm blunt about it when I say those things is because I want you guys to know that I'm always going to do the best I can to be real with you. And if you end up agreeing with me, that's always cool. But at the end of the day, my job is not to tell you what I think you want to hear. My job is to tell you what I think, right? I mean, that's why you listen to me, I would assume, right? I mean, so I always find that really fun.
You're nothing but a shill, man. You're a shill. You're a little fucking son of a bitch.
That, I'm a sexist because I didn't like Daisy Ridley as the lead. I'm like, wait a second. How am I sexist when
just didn't work for you?
When my favorite genre of films is horror, and who is always the heroine in horror films? It's the strong female. So it's like, no. Like, people just start throwing out words like you're sexist, you're shill. And I'm like, hold on, time out. Like, why don't you back it up and maybe have like you said, have an intellectual discussion. Right. And here are my reasons why.
Right. And I actually would prefer, like, as long as people are, cordial and polite, and I like it when people don't agree with me.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't
challenge you to think.
Well, yeah. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? That's a really good point. That's a really good point. And because I don't want everybody to agree. What the hell? Everybody's agree. I mean, if you do agree with me, that's awesome. But certainly if you don't, that's okay. That's okay. That's what this is all about. And for the most part, I think everybody in the chat room and everybody that, watches us and watches my shit, I think, understands that. But I can always pick out the newbies because they're just like, you fucker, look at this Hollywood shill. And it's just like, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And
you're Hollywood shill, dude.
I'm a Halloween guy.
I know,
nobody wanted the 2018 film to be as epic more than I did. And what did I give it? I give it a C+.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm going to tell you. That's what I thought of it. I'm not going to come back and just go, well, I really thought it was shitty, but hey, I thought it was great. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it.
Hey, listen, there's a Zach Axanola has been asking you this question.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
times. Buddy. He's all right, let's see it. What is it?
I don't want it to be missed. Sure. I don't know. Do you got it? I got
it. Here it is. Zach said, doesn't it baffle you? Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one. Okay. He's posted that a few times.
Doesn't it baffle you that the Star Wars sequel trilogy films were released in December of all months instead of the traditional May like the original and the prequels were? Does it baffle me? No. I mean, there's obviously a very strategic, specific, creative decision that was made. Sure. These marketing, I mean, it's not just, we'll just throw it in December. I'd have to go back and find out why The Force Awakens why they didn't do May, but they did December instead. I can certainly tell you that.
Well, with Endgame coming out at the end of April this year, there's no way you were going to put it up against Endgame.
That's true. That's true. I can certainly tell you that because The Force Awakens became one of the highest grossing movies of all time, and at that time had the largest opening weekend in history, and certainly was like the third highest grossing movie ever at that time. and it was a December release. That is why you saw Rogue One and The Last Jedi. And, that's why they continued the trend, because it was proven to be a moneymaker at that time. I mean, listen, in regards to the box office, yes, The Rise of Skywalker made $175 million. Okay. Is it lower? Yep. For sure. Is that because... Yeah, see, we did it. Ha! We did it! Yeah! Yeah, there's no statistical evidence of that. Okay? Is part of it being lower because people were like, yeah, sure. Is it $50 million lower because of that? Not likely.
20?
Not likely. Yeah, maybe right. Something like that. But it also could be, there's a variety of reasons why third movies in franchises also don't make as much. When you look at the Star Wars films over time, Return of the Jedi made less than Empire, and Empire made less than A New Hope. Revenge of the Sith made less than Attack of the Clones, and Attack of the Clones made less than The Phantom Menace. I'm talking about opening weekends. Yep. And this is right on par, right? Now, it's substantially less, but it's still less. But it's also a lot of fucking money. It also made nearly $400 million already, nearly $500 million worldwide in its opening weekend. So this movie's going to be fine. It's not going to make as much as The Force Awakens. It might not make as much as The Last Jedi, but should it cross $1 billion? It should cross $1 billion. 1.1, 1.2 maybe.
But you know what's going to happen, right?
We'll see.
And when I say that it's going to struggle there, I wasn't putting it down. I'm just saying I just think it's going to struggle to get to that billion mark. But you know what's going to happen, right? All of those other YouTube channels that you were just talking about. Like, see, we did it, guys. 100%. It's like, well, what did you do? Like Dave said, you didn't do anything. It's just like Dave said, the third act in a franchise tends to be the lesser box office draw. That's the reality of it. Unless it's like Avengers Endgame, which is totally special, totally different. Well, it's the bookend to everything that we've seen over the 10 years.
It's the bookend of 22 films.
Right.
And Marvel rarely missed a step.
Right.
So it's just important. I just want people to understand, like, why I was able, again, to like the movies, because we tripped, folks. The Last Jedi was like another first act. It was Rian Johnson came in and said, I don't like what you're doing, so I'm going to set it up all again. And it's like, well, and JJ's got to come in. You don't have to like Abrams. There's a lot of people that, you fucking. Yeah, I get it. But the Rise of, it astounds me that people were expecting The Rise of Skywalker to be something that it was never going to be.
They were expecting Citizen Kane.
They were. It should have been Citizen Kane. It should have been Endgame. It should have, I agree, the shoulda. Yeah. But it's like, you're running. I use this analogy in my most recent video. You're running. You can see the finish line. There's the ribbon. You're first place, and you trip and fall. And everybody passes you, and they cross first, and it's like, we should have worked out harder. Yes, but we didn't. We should have had different shoes, but we didn't. We should have ate not such a heavy meal. Yep, but we did. And so just get up, cross the finish line. And so I didn't have low expectations. I just knew that The Last Jedi was one of those movies where it was like, what are you going to do? I mean, that's sort of it. So... it was only going to be what it was. And I thought, considering the circumstances, and I'll tell you, I've seen it twice already, and I liked it better the first time, or the second time. Now, I'm not saying that I liked it leaps and bounds.
You've already seen it twice.
Yeah, but I liked it better the second time because because it's the kind of movie, because there's so much in it, because it's like a second and third act, that you start to see things that you didn't see before. Things start to resonate with you a bit more on a second watch. So The Rise of Skywalker will be fine. It doesn't have to be a $1.5 billion movie to be a success. It doesn't have to have 90% on Rotten Tomatoes for it to be a success. It is what it is, and half the critics liked it. Essentially, it has received mixed reviews. That's what it is. It hasn't. Everybody's saying, it's bombing! It's a bomb! No, it's not a bomb.
But how much of those mixed reviews are legit? And how much of it is just people looking for attention?
Well, listen, and... are we so naive to think that just because somebody is certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes or a certified critic, that their biases are thrown out the window? Are we led to believe that somebody who hates Disney Star Wars, who absolutely fucking hated The Last Jedi and everything that Disney Star Wars has done, and who may be a certified Rotten Tomatoes critic, are we supposed to believe that they are going to have the objective awareness and the maturity to rate The Rise of Skywalker purely objectively? Do we believe that that's possible? Because I don't. Mm-hmm. So now I'm not saying, don't misinterpret, I'm not saying that people have done that. I'm just saying, come on, think about that for a moment.
It's true.
You know, because there's hundreds and hundreds of certified Rotten Tomatoes critics. It's not just people from the New York Times or, you know, Variety. You got people on there like, you know, Jane's movie, whatever. Who the fuck is Jane? If she's somebody that, if she hated TLJ, hated everything, are we led to believe that she's going in, removing all her biases? I don't know. I mean, that's why I don't pay attention to the score. Listen, the critics say it's 57, or the critics are basically saying it's mixed, 56%. But the audience is saying it's nearly 90%. It's the complete opposite reversal of The Last Jedi.
Right. Well, for example, like, you know, like I was starting to say about that YouTuber who's got like over 1 million views, and he didn't, you know, he's taking a reference in the movie and he's putting it into 2019 politics, which it had nothing to do with. And it's that Luke and Leia scene that I was referring to you about.
Right.
He was putting in like, oh, it's the strong female and the weaker male. I was like, no, dude, and this is where I mean, people need to think before they speak. I'm not saying people shouldn't share their opinions, but you should maybe educate yourself a little bit and pick up some of the old EU, because if you did, you would understand the callback that JJ did for Star Wars fans. Instead, you're making a blunt statement and you're turning it into something political of 2019. When it really had nothing to do with that. And that's where I feel like sometimes people are doing things just to stir the pot when you don't need to. And if you were educated on the subject matter, you probably wouldn't have made that statement to begin with, because it does make you look like an uneducated fool when you make a comment like that. And that's why I said I think people are just doing shit to say shit for views.
Of course. And you bring up the perfect example of the vested interest that I've been talking about. There are, and not everybody, and listen, not everybody who doesn't like the movie is toxic, but it's the people that needed this movie to fail. And it wouldn't matter how great it was, they need it to fail because their channel depends on it. And that's why you see thumbnails like bomb, big bomb, it's bombing. It's not bombing. By any objective measure, it's not bombing. Even the reviews are mixed. You see. Anyways, it's just so ridiculous. So go see the movie for yourself and judge it for yourself. That's the best way to do it. You don't need me or Tony or anybody else to tell you what to think of that movie. Yeah. Okay, we'll take a couple of questions, last ones, and then I got to get going.
Filmatic asked us this a couple times. Did you guys see Lighthouse? I'm assuming you're meaning the William Dafoe, Robert Pattinson. Yes, just bought that this week on digital. Fucking love that. It's easily
I haven't seen it yet.
Easily top 5 favorite films of the year, next to Joker, Peanut Butter Falcon, and The Irishman. Also, thoughts on castings for Batman. I'm looking forward to Andy Serkis, playing Alfred. I'm looking forward to that too. And Colin Farrell, I love that he's coming back into movies now. He kind of drifted off there for a little bit, and he's playing Penguin. So I'm definitely stoked for that.
I haven't seen The Lighthouse yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Dude, totally. It's such a good movie.
I can't wait to see it.
I cannot recommend that enough to you.
Can't wait to see it. Okay, two more questions. Terrell Sims says, do you think slashers will ever be as scary as they were in the 80s? Pure nightmare fuel? No. Pure slashers?
We'll never see it like that.
No, because the slasher, as you've heard me say 1,000 times, the slasher genre at its core really is a B horror movie. I mean, even like that, that's what it is. I think horror, in order for a slasher movie to be really scary today, because we've grown so much, it would have to be like a psychological slasher or something that really sort of combines maybe a couple of subgenres.
It's gonna almost have to get it real, like not real, but like it's gonna have to make people go, shit, is this shit fucking real?
Right. Yeah. So that's how I feel about it.
Speaking of real, do you remember those videos back in the day? I remember it was like such a no-no. Like I could get any horror movie that I wanted back in the day as a kid. It was never off limits, except my parents would never let me do the Faces of Death movies. Do you remember those fucking movies?
No.
Oh man, here in the States. Oh, anybody in the chat room knows this is like a callback. And I finally saw them as I got older. That. Oh yeah, it's real shit. It's fucked up shit. I mean, it's like real fucked up shit. It's
Right.
horror to a whole nother fucked up level. But yeah, that was like the big no. That was like, I could not do that as a kid. I could do Nightmare. I could do all the other fakes, Faces of Death. No, I could not do that shit. Definitely check it out. It's you'll appreciate it.
Okay, cool. Frank Renker, Super Chat. I'll give you $2 to move on from Star Wars. I think, well, we did, Frank. We did. I love you, Frank. Yeah, don't worry. We weren't going to spoil anything.
Yeah, the chat room I'm telling you, dude, Faces of Death. There's like I think there's like, guys in the chat room, help me out. There's like, what, 5 or 6 of those movies?
I'll have to check them out. Yeah. Faces of Death.
It's dude, you'll trust me. It's fucked
all right. All right. I'm going to check it out.
Like that. And in the chat room, you agree or disagree. That's the kind of level of where they would
looks like they are.
But that's where they would have to go with horror films now, to that type of extreme, to the audience, to today's audience.
Right. Very cool.
Someone asked us what we're doing for Christmas. I'm just eating dinner with the fam. What are you doing?
Same thing. Just eating dinner with the fam. That's what it's going to be, guys. That's what it's going to be. Hey, listen, that's going to do it for us on episode 49 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats again, for supporting the channel that way. Thank you for just being here and watching us do our commentary and chit-chatting back and forth. It's like it's like we're all kind of in the same room, all having fun.
Merry Christmas, really guys. I see you guys in the chat.
100%. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa,
Winter Solstice, whatever you guys are celebrating.
Festivus, whatever you're celebrating. Have a safe and happy and happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Do not drink and drive. I want to see all of your little avatars in this chat room next week.
For the big finale of the year.
And after New Year's. Yes, next Monday night at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time, Tony and I are doing a live commentary. We're watching the original Scream from 1996.
Scream, baby.
1996, we're watching Scream, so tune in for that, and then, So if you want to follow Tony on Instagram, just look below his little window there, Tony Michael Photo and Tony Michael Pics with 2 X's. There's my Instagram, at Dave McRae79, and my Twitter, at The VoiceMann with 2 N's. So that will do it for Tony and I, and we think you guys are awesome.
Yes.
Naturally. And Tony and I will be back, next week. Is when we'll be back, and just have a great Christmas, okay? Just have a great Christmas with friends and family and Santa Claus, and tear up with those gifts and get fat and undo your belts and all that kind of shit. All right,
all that good shit.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. We'll talk to you guys soon. All right, cheers.
Later, guys.